Howdy, howdy, we're just getting started. All right, everything should be all set on that end. Indeed, your show is on. Indeed, indubitably. I wonder if that's better, audio-wise. How am I doing? You know, been better, but we're doing okay. When I move back to the States, then we'll have better times. Right now, we're overlapping pretty significantly. Hi, Robert. It's not a me thing, it's a our country thing. I'm like generally fine, but like, I don't know, man. When am I moving? About a month and a half. Oh, is my thing not censored? Or not centered? Oh, that's better. I think it's centered now. No, I do not believe Dante and Virgil explored all the layers of hell together. I don't believe that, turns out. Howdy, howdy, everybody. Welcome, welcome. As you're streaming in, remember to like the live so then we can get more people in here. We have our first guest of the day. Lunir, how's it going?
Hello.
What god do you believe in?
What?
What god do you believe in?
Oh, I'm a Muslim. I believe in Allah.
Great. Okay. Why should I believe in that?
Oh, you shouldn't believe in it. It's up to you to believe in anything.
Okay. Why should I think that it's true?
Okay, so I can't prove to you God mathematically or scientifically. Like, there's two approach for me. There's two approach to God. There's a philosophical approach, and there's like a proven scientific approach. I can't like give you an answer to the scientific approach, but for the philosophical approach is like take it like this, okay? God created the meaning of creation, so you can't apply that to him, right?
Why should I think that there's any meaning to creation at all?
Well, like God has the absolute will. He has the only free will. That's why he created us, created the universe. That's why that's the meaning, his will. It's not there's no other meaning.
That's the thing that you believe, but why do you think it's true?
Because I believe in the first approach, the philosophical approach.
When you say the philosophical approach, what do you mean?
Okay, so everybody tries to say like, who created God? Like, why, how, like, what is God, right? That's the big question.
I didn't ask that, but okay.
Okay, so just try to imagine it like this. If God didn't create the principle of creation, like we would pop up out of nowhere, and there will be the normal thing, like the laws of physics in this universe. But he created like the principle, and now we believe that everything has creator, even God.
Why?
That
Look, do you have
that's
an
why.
argument as to why I should believe that this is true? Because like you're making a whole bunch of claims and assertions, but they're just claims and assertions.
Yes, but like you have the will, you have the free will to believe in it or not. I'm just trying to give you my opinion. I'm just trying to give you what.
The background does say, "Can you convince me to believe in your God? Opposition only." That whole thing. So like, if you didn't come on to want to try to convince me that it's true, you might just be in the wrong place.
No, no. I just want to give you like something. I want to bring something to the table that has never been brought.
Okay, go ahead. So present the argument.
Like, okay, I don't have any physical evidence of God.
Okay, do you have any deductive reasoning as to why I should believe in it, or in an inductive case, perhaps?
Yeah.
Okay, so what's the argument?
Ethical. It's ethical to believe in God.
It's ethical to believe in God? How do you figure?
Okay. Like, what if I believe in God? If I believe in punishment and in hell, right? Let's suppose I'm just saying a bunch of nonsense, but just try to keep up with me. If I believe there's hell, if I believe there's like a punishment at the end, there's certain limits I won't be able to cross. But in your case, what's stopping you from killing another person?
My sense of duty, my internal sense of ethics and morality.
Do not give me that. That's just something like, it's like a social thing. It's not
a social thing. Lunar, you're Muslim, right?
Yes.
What would you say is the line that you're not willing to cross?
The line, like what God has told me not to cross in the Quran.
Yeah, can you give me an example?
Yeah, so God tell us to not do the big sins. Like there's big sins.
Like murder.
Murder.
Well, so you're kind of in a rut here then, because, and I'm not saying this applies to you, but apparently that's not enough to stop many Muslims from doing murder. It happens all the time. Christians do it too. Hindus do it too. I mean, like, there are obvious cases of Muslims doing murder for religious reasons. Yeah. And so,
I know all about
so them
that.
Believing in a hell isn't enough to convince them to stop. So your argument is kind of just dead in the water.
No, but it's not dead in the water for me.
Okay.
They are the ones.
What does that have to do with me? What does that have to do with me, though? What does that have to do with me? What does your ethical argument have to do with me, though? Then, if you're presenting an argument, it has to be applicable to me.
Well, that's the thing. I'm not just gonna tell you here, like all the others who try to convince someone who, by the way, don't believe in anything he can't like see, and they gave them just.
I mean, that's a straw man of my position.
Yeah, they just give them a bunch of arguments that are not like they don't mean anything to them. They don't.
I mean,
they don't make sense.
You just straw man my position. I don't only believe in things that I could see.
Then why you don't believe in God? Like why
because
you don't?
I don't have good reason to believe in God. Nobody's presented good arguments for it, and there's no convincing evidence or compelling or other compelling reasons.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to say.
Okay, so what's the compelling reason?
I'm not gonna speak to to you, but I'm speaking about myself.
Well, but you're supposed to give me a compelling reason. That's the prompt for the live stream.
Yeah, that's not gonna be my approach.
Okay, then why are you here?
If I'm gonna do what everyone else is gonna do, I'm not gonna. We're not gonna end up like doing anything. Like, you're not going to believe in God. I'm not going to convince you. I'm not going to give you an idea to think about it. Right.
So did you just want to come up and preach then about yourself? Like,
No. Like, you are the one who get. I'm not trying to judge. I'm not trying to attack you. I'm a huge fan, by the way.
I'm not trying to attack you either. It's just like there's a clear prompt here, and if you don't want to do it, then like why do it?
Yeah, like all my efforts here are gonna go with the wind. That's I know that's for sure, because if you wanted to believe in God in the first place, you will search it.
If it's true,
right?
I would love to know that it's true. What do you think I'm doing? If this doesn't count as searching, I don't know what does. I'm talking to as many people who believe in God as I possibly can.
But you are talking to people who, like, normal people. You're not talking to scholars. You're not talking to.
I'm happy to talk to scholars if they want to come up.
Well, let me give you this idea. What in your opinion, what separates like the Abrahamic religion, the Abrahamic God from the other gods?
Not much.
No. You are wrong in this way. Maybe you didn't search like a lot, but
it's just not that much. There are other monotheistic traditions. There are non-theistic traditions. Like, the Abrahamic faith isn't particularly special. It just happened to become dominant.
Yeah, but what's the reason for its dominance?
Because it's evangelical. Well, at least the two large ones are evangelical, meaning that they try to spread as much as they can, rather than just trying to, keep to themselves.
Yeah, but how are you gonna spread the word of God if you're not
often through
gonna
the sword?
Do it through what?
Through the sword. Violence.
See, that's where you are mistaken.
I mean, Christianity and Islam are the two biggest religions in the world. Christianity spread through violence throughout the entirety of the Western Hemisphere, and throughout Africa, and throughout Europe. And Islam spread via violence throughout a huge chunk of the Mediterranean area and most of the Middle East.
Well, the word of God is not responsible for the acts of...
I didn't say that it was. I'm just telling you why these religions are dominant.
Yeah, but I'm trying to get to a point. Like, I'm not just gonna give you straight my points. I'm just gonna build.
Why not just get to the point then?
Okay, all right. Why should you believe in God, right?
Yeah, why?
Well, because he's the only logical truth to the existence of the universe. Otherwise, everything is just like in a nihilistic way. Nothing matters. Like, why shouldn't I just suicide now? Why shouldn't I just kill myself?
Presumably because you enjoy your life, or because you have things that you care about.
Yeah, but that's not the point. Like, I have also many problems. What do you mean that's not the point?
If you enjoy your life, then you shouldn't do that.
No, like at a point, if I just like get angry or I get sad to a point, what's the thing that's gonna stop me from killing myself?
Your understanding that these things are temporary and that things will get better.
Yeah, but that's the thing about life. It doesn't get better.
Well, it usually does. Like, for most people in most situations, even if something very bad happens, usually it gets better. Not always, of course, but usually it does.
No. You know why?
The pain gets dull. The memories fade. That's what usually happens. That's most of human existence.
Yeah, but that's not the biggest reason. The biggest reason for why I'm not gonna kill myself because my instinct, my survival instinct says I shouldn't.
Okay, that might be a good reason too. Sure.
Yeah.
And that doesn't require a god either.
No, it requires God.
No, it just requires evolution.
He's the one who created, because he's the one who has, like, created you with an instinct. Like, why he didn't
that's
create
not true.
the things with instincts?
Instincts can arise naturally via evolution. Like, why do you think that, animals have the instincts that they have? It's because of evolution. It's because those instincts are beneficial to survival.
See, even I have questions about, like, the way God has created us. Like, I don't believe God has created us like how the Bible says or how the Quran says, or they just don't understand what God was trying to say. So God, like, just let me give you a verse. God said, we didn't the non-believers saw that the earth and the heavens were one, and we have we have exploded the atom, like, and it becomes a universe. So that just goes with the Big Bang theory. And then again, the theory of evolution, like God says in the Quran, we have created everything from water, and the theory of evolution said we are originated from water. Like, if I said this, I'll be, like, in the eyes of the scholars, in the eyes of the rabbis and the imams, I'll be saying blasphemy, right? But that's why I'm not going to give you what they are saying. I'm going to give you my understanding of God.
I mean, that's fine, but look, you made a claim earlier that, like, not that much earlier, a minute ago, that God is the only thing that makes the universe logically make sense. But, like, why should anybody believe that? What's the argument for that?
You see, that's the thing with you physicists and scientists. And I'm not trying to attack you. I truly respect what you have.
I know. You're good. I have thick skin.
If I can't, like, prove God with a mathematical equation or physics equation, like,
that's not all I'm saying. For. You made a claim. Presumably, you can defend that claim. You can justify it somehow. You can give some reason why I should think it's true. Otherwise, why should I believe you when you say that?
Yeah, and I said early, like, what if God isn't just, like, the only logical thing? What are the other logical thing? Because the temptations,
the universe?
like,
I mean, the universe exists. It's plausible to say that the universe is, logically required.
Yeah, but okay. So in this case, the universe is God for you, but, like, no, not God. You're not going to worship it.
But it's not God, right?
In a sense, he is a God, right?
In no useful sense, I don't think.
I don't know, man. This is all what I have to say.
Okay.
Like, I hope I gave something to the table.
Well, Linear, thank you for being here, and I hope you enjoy the content.
Okay.
Have a good one, okay?
Okay, man. Take care.
I know that I am being summoned by Ian. Sorry, I have my own live stream. We are super friends, if you will. We are so Ian, Justin, and I are like we're like the Justice League, right? We're like the Avengers. See, we all do our own thing. We have our own comics. And then sometimes we join forces, and then it's like, great. But we have our own things, right? I gotta do my thing. He's gotta do they's gotta... God, I'm such a bad friend and bad ally. Ian has to do Ian's thing. I'll put it that much. Ra, how's it going?
Nice to meet you. I'm glad that I can speak to you. And, well, I'm not well educated, but I think with the help of God, maybe I can say something that will... but if something goes wrong, you may get me out of here.
Well, okay, so what God do you believe in?
Christian God or Muslim God. It's a one God.
Well, okay, but do you believe that Jesus was the Son of God and resurrected from the dead?
Exactly. He was the Son of God and he was resurrected.
Okay, so you're a Christian.
That's
fine.
that. Yes, I'm a Christian.
Okay, that's all I was asking. So, what is your best argument for that God being real?
I say something. I'm not gonna answer, but I will say something another. I think
Please answer.
there are good reasons. There are good reasons for you to believe in God, because I think you're a good person. And what are the reasons not to believe in God? It's a beautiful life. You see the sun, birds are singing. Why you not
Yes,
to be?
it's very beautiful. All the childhood bone cancer and the meteors that slam into planets and kill the inhabitants. Very beautiful.
But there are some good reasons for this to happen.
What's the good reason for a child to get bone cancer?
You expect only good thing comes from God, but there are...
I didn't say that. You were just pointing out good things, so I decided to point out bad things.
Maybe we as a humans make some mistakes, so he is teaching us.
Do you think that that's why children get bone cancer?
I can't directly answer these questions, but it's beyond our understanding, you know.
Could God be lying to you for reasons beyond your understanding?
How can he lie to me? We haven't talked.
Well, no, I mean like through the Bible.
I don't think he is lying. He gives us the knowledge that we should know.
Oh, okay. So maybe he's deceiving you for some greater purpose. Maybe he's lying to you to fulfill some greater good.
But maybe we are not ready to know something that.
Yeah, and that's why he's deceiving you.
But not deceiving. It's when we have our kids, we have to cover something.
You lie to them a little bit. You lie to them just to make things better, to make things easier, right?
From your point of view, maybe yes, no?
So my question is, how do you know that what the Bible says is true? About Jesus, how do you know that, he rose from the dead, for example?
That's the thing. Everything depends on your faith. You have to accept it.
Why would you accept it when God could be lying to you for a greater purpose?
Well, I totally count on someone that gave me life.
But wait a minute, so then why are you willing to be so skeptical about his reasoning for childhood bone cancer? Like, you're just like, maybe he has a better reason in mind that we just don't know yet. Couldn't he have a better reason in mind for lying to you?
Well, I will say it's easy to say it's just words. It's just words. But
I don't know what that means. Yes, we're talking with words.
I mean, I never experienced that when your child has cancer. It's difficult, but
Can I ask what country you're from?
I'm from Kazakhstan.
Okay, you're from Kazakhstan. You're not the first Kazakh that I've had on my live, actually, interestingly enough. the second, not the first. So would you say that my understanding was that there was a major famine in Kazakhstan in the last century? Is that correct?
I do remember that. It was 1934, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes. Yeah. It's more famously known, for those who don't know, it's referred to as the Holodomor in Ukraine, but it was devastating to Kazakhstan. Why would God allow that?
We're all gonna die someday.
Is that a good reason?
Death, I don't know why. Maybe this. Sorry that I'm thinking too much.
Right.
I think how to better answer to you. So. Yeah, he gave us some great lessons so that we can think that it's not how to say in English. It's a good lesson, so that we should have some gratitude when we eat. It's not just. When you have food, you don't expect to be that this is. Maybe some people are not grateful for so that they eat. I'm sorry, I'm just.
It's okay.
Nervous.
You're okay. You're okay. It's okay to be nervous. Just know that even if I'm mean to you, I don't think you're a bad person. Okay. So look. So
thank you so much.
So I don't know how long your family's been in Kazakhstan, but my understanding is that famine led to millions to die, right? Like starved. It was atrocious, right? Surely you couldn't imagine getting into a time machine, going back in time, and telling the people starving on the streets, oh, it's okay, it's to teach people a lesson so that they will be grateful for their food. That's absurd.
But you see, Bible sometimes teach us to do some fasting so that we can understand that we can even we can live without food for a very long time if you just totally be accounted on God.
So it's not fasting, it was starvation.
But with the help of fasting, you even can manage to live without food for a very long time if you totally
tell that to
believe on God.
Tell that to the 2 million Kazakhs who died in the 4 years.
They have no idea what religion is. Maybe in that time,
This was only 90 years ago. They knew what Christianity was.
Maybe it will be sounds not good from me, but there are some people who are don't respect God. They don't respect anyone. They just.
Were any of these people your ancestors? Did you lose any family during the famine?
Oh, sorry. Can you repeat the question?
Did you lose any family during the famine?
No, I don't know what it's like. It's gross. It's to lose someone you love.
I just didn't know if you had like if one of your grandparents or great grandparents' brothers or something, because it was like 40% of all Kazakhs that were, starved to death. which is atrocious. So like, I don't know. It just seems like how can you say that these are all bad people, that they all didn't know God or that they deserved it?
Not from my understanding, but we all are sinners. We all are sinners. So we have to accept our mistakes. We have to do something good in our life so that God can see us, can, you know.
Would you
we
say
can
that,
differ-
are you such a sinner that you deserve starvation?
I deserve starvation. I deserve punishment. I deserve.
What did you do
So
that
I
makes you
want-
deserve starvation? Because I certainly haven't done anything to deserve that.
So I haven't managed to be that believers. I haven't managed so that my relatives be believers as the same as me. So I have to do anything so that my relatives be believers, the same believers as me. So it is my duty.
Nectu, thank you for the $5. I appreciate you. Your message is up top. All I'm saying... Wait a minute. Hold on. Am I understanding you correctly?
I didn't.
Am I understanding you correctly
didn't
when you said that it's that you have to get your family to believe so that they don't get punishment? Is that what you're saying?
Exactly.
But your family came before you.
I'm grateful. I'm grateful for everything that they done to me.
No, I'm sorry.
just-
You misunderstood. I said like whatever you do won't affect your family members who came long before you and are already long dead.
Maybe if I find some good words, who knows? Another approach.
So maybe I just didn't hear you, but surely you don't believe that, you know, we all deserve to starve, right?
To be honestly, I don't wish you to be starving, because I think I like you, because I think you're a better person.
Too kind.
So
Right, but why does anybody deserve to starve?
it's lessons, it's discipline. How if you are breeding some kids and kids don't listen to you,
And
what should you do?
You shouldn't make them starve.
But not starve, but maybe some kind of
Maybe take away their dessert. Maybe don't let them have a cookie after dinner. But you don't make them starve.
Well, that depends. Maybe if you have there are some different kids. There are.
Okay, but let me ask you this. I agree that sometimes discipline or even punishment is necessary for kids to teach them how to act properly, right? I agree. Sometimes kids are stupid and that they require some discipline. But what discipline is supposed to do is it's supposed to correct bad behavior, right? You take away your child's cookie after dinner so that next time they will do the dishes before dinner. Whatever the reason, right? That you try to encourage some future action by giving some discipline now. But what kind of future action can you encourage if they die because of your discipline?
What can you do if some difficult kids are not managed to to be fixed, are
shouldn't-
are
you
not
shouldn't-
managed to be fixed.
You shouldn't kill them. Like, right?
Well, that's many good. I'm sorry. Maybe from this situation we can learn some lessons.
Who? The dead people?
He's observing.
The dead people will
He's
learn
observing
lessons?
us. The God observing us, and he will see if somebody will help starving people. Well,
So what? But he already knows who will help starving people because he knows everything.
yes, he knows everything, but there are some facts. There must be some facts. If you did some good things, no matter does he know about it or he doesn't.
I mean, so are you saying that God allows for the starvation of millions to try to teach other people a lesson?
Yes, I don't see any. How can you see it another way? It's the best
Well,
way for this explanation.
I mean, so it just doesn't seem like something a good God would do. A good God wouldn't need to cause people to suffer horribly in order to teach other people a lesson. If he wanted to teach other people a lesson, he would teach them something rather than forcing other people to starve to make it happen. It just seems like imagine I'm God, right? I'm all powerful. I know everything. I can do whatever I want. I can stop the starvation, and then I can snap my fingers, and everybody who needed to learn a lesson, I can just teach them the lesson automatically without having them watch starving kids.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, like he could make them. He doesn't need to teach them a lesson by causing suffering. He can teach them a lesson other ways.
But are we grateful that there is no famine right now? There are lots of
yes, I'm very grateful that there's no famine, although there is famine in Yemen.
There must be some sacrifice.
Why? Wait a minute, hold on. Didn't Jesus already do the sacrifice? Why do we have to sacrifice anything? What was the point of Jesus?
So that we can be saved, so that our souls can be saved.
Okay, so it has nothing to do with Earth. It has nothing to do with what's going on here.
Yes, it has nothing to do with materialistic world.
Okay,
it is spiritual.
It just sounds like he didn't improve the Earth at all. Then he didn't make the world a better place.
We can. How can we know what would it be like if he hasn't shown up and hasn't gave us this knowledge? What would it be world like today?
It's a good question.
Without Christianity, maybe there are.
It's hard to say, but what we certainly can say is that he didn't like actively make the world a better place, right? Because that wasn't the point of his sacrifice. It wasn't to make the world a better place. And there's still hate, there's still starvation, there's still violence, there's still bigotry, there's still persecution, right? It just doesn't seem like
He gave us a free will so that we can do something to make the world a better place. It's up to us.
It hasn't been working.
Because we are responsible for this.
But he made us this way.
Yes, he created us with by his image. So he gave.
So is his image hateful?
We have the same. We have evil inside of us, and we have good things inside of us, and it's up to us what we are.
Surely you're not saying that God has evil inside of him.
If he created everything, therefore he has evil. He has
God has evil inside of him.
When he got angry, yeah.
Okay, so he's not all loving.
Not yes. I mean, when of course. I mean, you see, it's very responsible for me to say about something about God if I can mistake, but
it's okay.
Sometimes I have to keep silence if I don't know something.
That's fair. That's fair. Ra, I'm gonna let you go because you have some thinking to do.
I'm very appreciate that you give me this opportunity. So
of course,
I'm very grateful.
Of course, and thanks for being a lovely guest. Okay, have a good rest of your day. All right.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Take care, Ra. You guys need to be nice. I know that you're used to the blood sports, but like, and trust me, I love the blood sports, but like, sometimes you just gotta be nice. Especially with that guy. He was a nice guy. Just. All right, D. How's it going?
Hey, I'm good.
How old are you?
17.
Oh, you can't be here. Hey, there was like a purple ninja guy who was in the comments saying, "Let me up now," and did he disappear? Is he still here? I'll send him an invite. I found his comment. Oh, he left? Bummer. Okay. Oh well, let's talk to Jamil. I don't know, he just had a purple ninja as his icon. Jamil,
what's good, man? I'm good, bro. I'm good. I watch a lot of your content.
How old are you?
I'm 20 years old, man.
What's your birth year?
It's 2005.
Okay. Great. What God do you believe in?
Say what?
What God do you believe in?
I believe in Jesus Christ, man.
Okay. What's your best argument for the existence of the Christian God?
Oh, I can say anything, but I'm start with I'm gonna start in your level because you're probably not gonna believe the things I'm gonna say. So, well, when we look at the universe, right? Like every time someone brings up God and the universe, you think these people are like stupid or foolish in a way because you don't believe that a God can exist in the universe we exist in. And
I wouldn't say I think they're stupid or foolish. I wouldn't say that I think that.
Yeah, no,
I think
you
that
just disagree. Sorry, those are the wrong use of words. But yes, you just disagree. Well, I think in this universe we live in, I do see like a possibility of a God.
Okay. Can you defend that position?
My internet, right? My internet is poor.
Yeah, your internet is poor. It's okay.
There's nothing I can do. I can fix it.
It's fine. It seems fine for now.
So what I'm trying to say is, what I'm trying to say is, in the universe we live in, think about it. Like 13 billion years ago, there was a God who was eternal. An eternal God just makes sense, man. Because this.
Why would I believe that there was a God?
How does something come from nothing?
I don't believe that something came from nothing.
You don't have to believe. That's actually a good way to think about it, but that's a good question. Why would I believe there's a God? And the answer to that, I feel like, is you don't have to believe there's a God. All you have to do is believe that there's something that's eternal. And then once you start digging for the truth, that's where you start finding Jesus Christ. Because when you look at the Bible, there were people who were the same prophets who wrote about God were questioning God. They were thinking, how can a God like this exist? And they found their own answers. And I feel like you could actually do
when I
great as
look
a
at the
true
Bible,
Christian because you actually
when I look at the Bible, I see nothing but contradictions and, you know, Iron Age stories, right?
That's good. And I love that. That just shows that you see it for what it is. And the contradictions, truth has a lot of contradiction. Because
No,
when
it
you find
shouldn't.
something to be true,
Truth should have no
you-
contradictions.
No. But there's no such thing as an absolute truth that a human has found. People don't find
How
absolute
about 2
truths.
plus 2
There's
equals
always another
4?
question.
How about 2 plus 2 equals 4?
People question mathematics actually. People question mathematics actually.
Is 2
In
plus
the world
2,
we
does
live
2
in,
plus 2
people
absolutely
question
equal 4?
mathematics.
Given the standard
I do
axioms
believe
of
it.
arithmetic?
Yeah, the axioms. The key is the axioms. Some people might
So
even question our axioms. Like,
given the standard axioms of arithmetic, does 2 plus 2 equals 4? Absolutely. Is that objectively true?
yes,
Okay, so then
yes, I can
there
experience
should
that
be
it's
no
objectively.
contradictions.
So are you saying I should not ask any questions about does 2 equals 2? Does 2 equal 4? Are you saying there's no more questions to ask? Like, are you saying I should just accept that as reality?
Having questions doesn't mean that there are contradictions. You can have questions, but that's because you don't know everything, not because there's a contradiction.
That's true. That's true. But what if that's the same? What if that same truth applies to you? What if you see contradiction, but there is no contradiction? You just don't see the bigger picture.
Then
You don't
resolve the contradictions.
Okay, let me try and resolve the contradiction.
Okay.
First off, the
Do you
first
want me to give you
contradiction you
examples
find
of the contradictions?
Yeah, I know it's gonna be the evil one, but yeah, please give an example.
No, it's not. I'm looking for a very specific one. Sorry, one sec. I'm just looking on my table. It was the one about when Jesus was crucified. Do you know what day Jesus was crucified on?
I haven't looked it up, but I do know that everyone celebrates Christmas, and 2,000 years ago, everyone thinks that Jesus was crucified 2,000 years ago.
So there's two issues here.
Okay.
Oh, there's some annoying lag. So in Mark, it says that it was 9 o'clock when Jesus was crucified, right?
Oh,
this is Mark 15:25. It says it was 9 o'clock in the morning. Yeah. On the other hand, John says that it was about noon when he was crucified.
Yes.
So which one was it?
To be honest with you, man, to find this is such a little thing. To find the answer,
but that's a contradiction, right?
Which one was it? Who was the disciple? Was it John or Mark?
There's Mark and John. I mean, I think John was the disciple. I don't think Mark was. I always get Mark and Matthew confused though.
Yeah, and how did information transfer through oral, right?
Were they both there or were they not both there? Is one of them wrong?
Yes, one of them can be wrong because these things are not written by computers.
Then why should I believe the Bible?
You don't
if
have
they're
to
able to get these
it.
simple things wrong, why should I trust them in more serious things?
Because of how hard they try to get it. Obviously, sometimes if a human tries to do something to the best of its ability, he can get a few things wrong. But how far they tried to actually get it to the other side. Because these guys Christians have been attacked since day one. The moment that Christianity started,
don't be a victim.
they were being attacked.
Don't be a victim. Christianity is the dominant religion in the world. Christianity is the dominant religion in the world. Don't pretend to be a victim.
I'm not trying to be a victim, but you're right. Christianity is the dominant religion. But guess where it came from? It came from nothing. It came from 12 disciples. It came from a person who was a shepherd. How can someone so tiny have more influence over the world than someone like Hitler? Have more influence over the world than someone like Newton, like Isaac Newton? These guys influence the world from nothing, and
Well,
and
it
the
was
things
because of
that
the
they said
Romans.
would
You know that,
happen,
right?
did happen.
It was because
Yeah,
of
I
the
know
Romans.
it was because of the Romans.
It wasn't because of
I
Jesus.
do
It
know
was because
that.
of the Romans.
Yeah, but
So then
the
why are you
Romans
giving
could have,
credit to Jesus on this? It was the Romans.
because Jesus was the one who said he would be famous. Jesus said, "My word will go all over the world." Jesus was the one who
Okay.
believed
And then
the
the Romans
his word would
fulfilled
happen,
that.
and they happened.
Why
Yes,
is this
exactly.
relevant?
Look, someone imagine you say something about the future right now. You say,
Okay, I'm
"Hey,
going to
yeah,
say something about the future right now. There will
yeah."
be war.
Make it sound crazy. Make it sound crazy. Make it sound unbelievable. Tell me I'm gonna be the most famous person in the whole entire world in 2 months. Tell me something like that.
Well, but
And
Jesus
then
wasn't famous after 2 months.
yeah, but now he's the most famous person in
Yeah, it's
2000
been
after
2000.
2000
It's
years.
been 2000 years.
But
Here,
still,
I'll make a
he's more
prediction.
famous
I'll make an absurd prediction. Jamil, you're going to be the most famous person in 2000 years.
in 2000
Prove
years.
me wrong.
That sounds great because
Prove
there's
me
not a lot of
wrong.
people like that though. There's not a lot of people like that who came from nothing into
Prove
something
me wrong.
and then
Prove
became
me
the
wrong,
most.
Jamil.
Even Socrates and these other guys were born
Jamil, prove
in
me wrong.
greatness.
Jamil, prove me
Did I
wrong.
prove you wrong?
Yeah, prove me wrong.
Oh, I don't have to prove you wrong, but why should I believe that's true?
Okay, well then why'd you ask me to make an absurd prediction?
Oh, because it will sound crazy for me to believe it's true, but there's the thing: it actually happened to someone named Jesus Christ. So the
Yeah,
fact that it
people get
happened to
famous.
someone,
People get famous. It happens to people that are least expecting it. How does this make?
not like
How does
Jesus,
this make? Jamil, how does this make
people do not get
Jesus
famous like
actually?
Jesus.
Stop cutting me off, dude. Like,
Okay.
I was in the middle of a sentence. How does this make Jesus actually the Son of God? Because he got famous, that makes him the Son of God? If that's the case, then, Freddie Mercury is the Son of God.
It's not because of that's the fame, but the fame does play a big role. But it's also because
Do you believe
there
that
was many
anybody that is famous is telling the truth?
No. What I'm
Okay,
trying to
then
say
why does it
is
matter that he's famous?
because there was many predictions before he lived in the world that someone like him would exist, and there were
Oh, like
many
what?
people.
Like
The
what?
prophets were talking about someone like him existing
Oh,
before he
do
existed.
you want to name one?
Bro, I have so many, bro.
Do you want to name one?
Let me go to my Bible. Can you still hear me?
I can still hear you, yep. But when you minimize the app, I can no longer hear you.
Yes. Let me try and think of one in the moment. There were so many, man, but David, the prophets. You can look up the prophets and the things they said. Like, Daniel.
Give me a
Daniel was
specific
talking
one.
about. I think it's Daniel's 9. Daniel verse 9, chapter 9. Yes, Daniel chapter 9. Somewhere
Okay,
there
what's
he
the
talks
verse?
about someone. You have to. I can't really remember the direct verse because there's a lot. Too much information for my brain to remember. But yes, in that I think it's in 9. Where Daniel describes a man who will come that we'll all look to, and that man will guide us to God. And these people were
Are
compared
you
to each
talking
other.
about...
The other guys,
Wait, hold on. This is
yeah,
literally referring to a very specific king who already existed. This is referring to Darius, son of Xerxes.
Darius, son of Xerxes.
That's
Is that
literally the beginning of
Daniel?
Daniel 9. Yeah, it's Daniel chapter 9.
Well, I guess if you read through it, you'll go and
But
you go deeper.
it
You'll
names
find
the
what I'm
person.
saying.
It names the person who it's referring to.
Yeah, but like just past chapter 1, past chapter 2, and you'll find.
This
Okay,
is verse.
are
This
you
is
in-
chapter 9. You told me to go to go to verse 9, or to go to chapter 9. Did you not?
Wait, chapter 9, not verse 9. I said chapter 9.
I'm in chapter 9.
Now go to
Chapter 9 is about Darius, son of Xerxes.
Well, I think if you go through these verses. Try go through the verses.
What's the verse that you want me to look at?
I'm just gonna guess verse 16. If there's a verse 16.
Lord, in keeping with all your righteous acts, turn away your anger and your wrath from Jerusalem, your city, your holy hill. Our sin and the iniquities of our ancestors have made Jerusalem and your people an object of scorn to all of those around us. Okay, what does that have to do with Jesus?
Oh man, I can try and direct too much, but we're just gonna be reading through too many scriptures. Well, let me try one more. This is the last one. I'm gonna
So
try.
do you know who Justin?
Try.
Do you know who Justin from the Deconstruction Zone is?
No.
Okay, he's a creator on this app. He does debates as well. If you'd like to talk about prophecies, you should talk to him. He's a Bible scholar, or rather, he's a former pastor who is like an expert on the Bible. He reads Greek, and he can talk to you about prophecies if you'd like. He is of the opinion that not a single prophecy was fulfilled by Jesus. Now, I'm not a biblical scholar, and I suspect you're not either. So I imagine that we'll probably just disagree over what things mean, and neither of us will have a particularly good understanding of what the story is saying. So why don't we just say, let's suppose for a moment that he filled a few prophecies and didn't fulfill others. Would that mean that he's not the Messiah, or that he is the Messiah?
I would say it like, first off, I mean, it doesn't have to be true. He doesn't have to be God, but if he fulfills a few, that means you have to like question: could he be fulfilling the others as well?
Well,
And
no.
then
What if he
if
didn't
you
fulfill
have faith,
some? He definitely didn't fulfill some, and he let's say he did fulfill others. Then which one
if it
is he
definitely
the
means
Messiah,
did
or
not
is
fulfill
he
some,
not?
I guess that he's not. If he definitely did not
Okay.
fulfill some,
So if I could find you even a single prophecy that he didn't fulfill, would you stop being a Christian today?
I guess so.
Okay. Promise?
Hey man, try.
All right. Let me
Try a
let me go
thing,
find
man.
you a good one. Let me find you an evil simple one, or not an evil. Sorry, I was reading a word. Let me find you a good one though. So. Okay. So there's one about. Is it in Jeremiah? I want to say it's in Jeremiah. I know exactly which one is. So this is about how, and I can go find the verse for you, but it's about how it's a prophecy about how when the Messiah returns, the sacrifices will remain in, or people will continue to perform sacrifices at the temple in perpetuity. There will be a king on the throne, and there will be Levitical priests administering the temple sacrifices. Oh, did he leave? Oh, he ran? Bummer, he ran. All right. By the way, if you're watching on YouTube and you sent a super chat, which Nectu did, I should probably read this since I never did. Nectu says, I do not respect God, I respect science, math, and philosophy. They are my guardian angels. Careful, Nectu, getting awfully close to scientism. I'll show you another tism that I'm fond of. No, wait a minute. Is graduate school worth it if you're not a genius? Most graduate students are not geniuses. I thought it was fun. All right, let's bring on Lizzie, sure. And by the way, if you want to support the live, there's Cash App link in my bio and in the various places that you can support me with. If you don't want to support the live that way, though, then you can absolutely just like the live, follow along, subscribe, all of these lovely things. Lizzie, how's it going?
Hello.
How old are you?
I'm 18.
What year were you born?
2007, but I'm 8th March, so.
You were absolutely right that does make you 18. It just makes me very, very sad. Because 2007 people are 18 years old now.
Yeah. It's very weird.
Yeah, well, I'm 31, so now you're making me feel old. Anyway, so do you believe in God?
Yeah.
All right, which one?
I'm Hindu.
Oh, okay. So why should I believe in your religious tradition? I know that there are some Hindus who are monotheists and some Hindus who are polytheists, so I don't want to assume.
Oh, so basically, there's like, sorry, I have a bad throat. I'm in a choir, so.
You're fine.
But, in the Gita in the 7.15 it says wait, firstly, so there's like this little book that, one second, there's this little book that this person who spread Hinduism to the West wrote, and in it there's like kind of a prophecy, well, not really, but something that was told in the Gita like 6,000 years ago, and it's about the yugas. So
Sorry, it's hard. It's a little bit hard to hear you. Can you talk more slowly, just that way then I can hear you better?
yeah, sorry, my mic is probably bad, but so basically
Wait, so to be clear, you're saying, and did I hear you right when you said that are you referring to the Bhagavad Gita, or are you referring
yes,
to?
yes.
Did you say that it's 6,000 years old?
Well, it goes back. Well, yeah,
I
about
don't think it's 6,000 years old.
5,000, like around there.
I don't think so. If
It
that's
is.
relevant, I guess we can talk about that if it's relevant to the things that you want to talk about.
But
Otherwise, we can just leave it be. But I don't think it's that old.
It doesn't really matter.
Okay,
but
that's fine.
It says that there's this prophecy. Well, not really prophecy, but there's these yugas that like our world kind of separates into, and basically there's like our time from like the creation. There was the Sati Yuga, like the pure time when everyone worshipped God, and like now it's the Kali Yuga, and basically it says that in Kali Yuga, this age of quarrel and hypocrisy, there shall be a waning of these qualities religiously. Well, basically humans will kind of like lose their way to religion, to God, and all of that, and similarly religion will practically vanish. So that means gradually human beings will descend to the platform of animals, because like basically people, like animals, they don't really like see God, but like they don't know who God is, and basically the people who don't really believe that, they kind of like lower their mind to that kind of level, and everyone just gets sucked into their material wants and all of that, like everyone just works all the time and hyperfixates on working, and everyone gets sucked into their material thoughts.
So, question. I
Mhm.
have a few things to push back on. First, actually, I guess
Yeah.
3 things. First, would you say that, for example, Buddhists, like atheist Buddhists, are, lowering themselves to be like animals, even though they don't believe in God?
Well, Buddhists, they believe in nirvana, and they believe in.
But they might not believe in a
I-
divine being, right?
I have Buddhist friends.
So I'm married to a Buddhist family. My wife's not Buddhist, but her family is. I had a Buddhist wedding. But like so there are certainly Buddhists who do believe in gods. There are also Buddhists who do not.
They still believe in something existing.
They believe in nirvana. They believe
realm.
it, right, but they don't believe in God. So presumably it's not believing. It's not a lack of belief in God that lowers you to the animalistic
Well, it's just
level,
like
right?
your materialistic wants, but like God brings you to the like spiritual ones that kind of clear you and cleanse you, and I can't really formulate it. English isn't really my first language.
Your English is fine.
Yeah.
So as long as I got clarity on how you view Buddhists, that's fine. Second question, my understanding, and I just looked this up, so correct me if I'm wrong, but at least according to the internet, the latest Yuga, the Kali Yuga, started about 5,000 years ago. Would you say that that's correct?
Yeah.
So then wouldn't that mean that, and these cycles are supposed to last, the Kali Yuga is supposed to last 432,000 years?
Yeah.
So it seems like it says that the virtues are supposed to be at their worst at the end of the cycle. So aren't we like 427,000 years early?
It's already bad though. Like it's starting.
Is it?
It's
I mean,
it's
we're like so close to the beginning.
Yeah, but it's already getting bad, you know.
So the third question then is, in what way is it getting bad? Like, people are wildly religious still.
No. Yeah, I know that, but like a lot of people are losing faith and all of that, and
I mean, the number of atheists is decreasing.
And like, but they're like getting really sucked into their, like, you know, people who just think about like these businessmen, like my father. Most of the thing, well, no, not really, but like he thinks about working like most of the time and just getting sucked into materialistic needs, when you can like turn your head to like work towards God and be more calm and then not get sucked into the material world. It's like,
I mean,
it's called Maya.
I can absolutely agree that like
It's like you just,
the world is not in a great place right now. But I don't see how this is a prophecy coming true.
It's called Maya, like lies, and basically God made them so that the people who are not ready to seek him yet, they get to pick their own thing. They get to pick whether they want to be sucked into the material world.
Oh, your microphone just went kaput.
Yeah, oops, sorry. I have to go soon anyway. But
it's fine.
Or if they want to seek God and like seek the higher realms. But like, I don't know, I'm not trying to convert anyone. Oh wait, sorry, I gotta go.
Oh, okay. Take care. Feel better. All right, let's see if anybody is present on the YouTube queue. Yes, we have one. We have Aditya. Aditya, how's it going? Can you hear me?
Sorry, that goes off.
Okay. Take care. Feel better. Aditya, can you hear me?
Hello?
All right, let's see if anybody is present on the YouTube queue. You should mute the stream and you should talk to me, because you should be able to hear me now, right?
Am I?
Oh, yes.
Am I
yes.
audible?
Can you hear? You are. Can you hear me?
Actually, I probably just wanted to say hello. I really follow your shorts and I admire them.
You should mute the stream and you should talk to me. You should be able to hear me now, right?
I am hearing you, right? Oh, right. YouTube is on.
Okay. Can you hear me all
So
right?
the thing is, I don't actually believe in conventional religions.
Okay.
Part of the reason is, at the end of the day, it's mostly rooted in culture, and people tend to believe in what they like,
I
especially
agree.
speaking. So over time,
Aditya, you can hear me,
you
yeah?
have this combination of thoughts that form into religion. It
Aditya,
cannot
can
be
you hear me?
directly stated that it relates to the idea of God.
Aditya, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. So I appreciate you coming up here.
On
However,
that note, I intend to make a very clear distinction between personal faith and the religions in practice.
Aditya, it seems like there's a big delay.
Yeah, it's kind of nighttime and I don't really have a fast internet.
All right. Well, I will have to let you go because we can't have this conversation if there's that big of a delay. But if you do have better internet next time, feel free to come back up. Good luck,
Yes.
okay? Sorry, bud. I feel bad because he seemed like he wanted to have an interesting conversation. But all right, no, we're going to let the math guy come up. Don't worry. I think I've spoken with Nate, though. I think we've spoken before. Nate, you're going to prove God exists using math, right?
Yes. I will. Okay.
All right,
but first we have to make a couple of assumptions, as you do in math. There's axiomatic assumptions. Okay. First, we have to assume the universe is infinite.
Okay, sure.
Okay, and that secondly, you have to assume that the universe encompasses everything. By that, I mean there's nothing can exist outside the universe.
Sure.
Okay, so now let's say that I mean, have you ever read Isaac Asimov's The Last Question?
I have not.
Oh, okay. Well, it's pretty good. Anyway, it just talks about basically a computer creating the universe, right? So we know where this is going, that we're going to have virtual worlds. It's inevitable. I mean, it's already happening. Yes.
When you say virtual worlds, do you mean like Grand Theft Auto 6, or do you mean like with real with real intelligences occupying them?
Right now we have a low intelligence compared to what it could be, but we're able to create a virtual world that appeals to our senses. Low resolution, but it's there.
Sure.
At some point in the future, it will you won't be able to differentiate between a virtual world.
Maybe.
The likelihood
By the way,
of that,
there's some serious echo. Are you like on speakers or something?
Let me put it in my headphones. Give me a second.
Please. Thank you.
Is that better?
I hope so. Yeah, it seems like it is.
Okay. So, I mean, if assuming that we evolve at the rate we're evolving, it's inevitable that we're going to create a virtual world that's a one-to-one map.
I don't think that's even in principle possible. It might be a good approximation, but I don't think it's even in principle possible to make a one-to-one map.
How is that not in principle possible?
Because you'd have an infinite recursion problem, right? A one-to-one map of our universe would contain the thing simulating the universe inside of it, which leads to an infinite recursion problem.
Well, it doesn't have to be a one-to-one map. I'm just saying it could get there.
No, it couldn't. It couldn't even.
You could approach it. You could approach it. Okay, you could approach it. It'd approach a one-to-one map. Okay, so anyway, beyond anybody's ability to recognize it, no matter what. I mean, you could travel to the end of the universe and still not reach the limit of it.
You could recognize it by trying to build a computer simulation inside of it to try to reproduce the same thing that you created inside of it. And if you couldn't, then you would know that it's fake.
What do you mean? You could do that over and over again. You could build a universe inside of a universe over and over again.
No. The point is if you could, then you would have the infinite recursion problem. So because
you lose fidelity every time.
Right. So that's the point. If you can build something that matches the thing that it's in, then that means that, or rather, you could try to build you would try to match the thing that it's in, and if you can't do that, then it's not then it's not real.
I mean, it's beside the point, because even though you lose fidelity every time, what are you losing fidelity from? You can never know.
If you're the one, wait.
If I'm in this
reality, I make a simulation, and then inside that simulation, I try to make another simulation. I could compare the two simulations.
You're outside of the simulation.
Yes. By the way, just to be clear, laying the groundwork, because this might just disappoint you, but a simulator isn't a god.
It is. It is creating the universe.
It's not supernatural.
What is your definition? Why does God have to be supernatural?
That's just what I'm taking a god to be.
To the simulation,
it sounds like you're just describing like a computer dork with advanced technology. It's not a god.
Yeah, it could be a baby with a phone at some point in the future. It could be, but that would. But they're creating the universe. They set the rules.
It's still not a god. It's just a guy with a computer.
How's it
still not a god?
How is if a being creates a universe?
Can a god die? Does a god require sustenance and food? Does a god have a bedtime?
So what if this being doesn't have any of those problems?
Then it's not using a computer.
It could be a simulation itself.
Well, then then it's not a god either. If it's a simulation, it's not a god because it could be turned off.
Not by you, not within this universe.
It doesn't matter if it's not by me. If it could in principle be turned off, it's not a god.
So it's gods all the way up, like turtles all the way down. And
No,
if you
they're
get
just
to
not,
the top,
they're
what
just
is it?
not gods. A god is a supernatural being that's responsible for creating all of reality, right? Not all of reality as we know it, not the universe as we know it, all of reality.
But you're willing to accept a limit to the universe. You're willing to accept an edge of the universe.
No, I'm not.
You're willing to accept that there is an edge of the universe.
No, I'm not.
All scientists think things exist outside of the universe.
There is not a single scientist who thinks there's an edge to the universe. Not a single one.
Yeah, the consensus in science right now is that the universe is 49 billion light years wide.
That's the observable universe, not the universe as a whole.
Well, the Big Bang is the consensus.
Yeah, that doesn't say that there's an edge.
What does the Big Bang say? That the universe started
that the observable universe was smaller in the past and now it's bigger. That's all it says.
Yeah, it began the size of an atom or something like that. All the mass in the universe. All the mass in the universe was compressed into the size of an atom and blew up and expanded at an exponential rate.
It didn't expand or it didn't blow up. It wasn't exponential. Well, in some sense it's exponential still, but it wasn't. Like it's about 1,000 times bigger now than it was 13.8 billion years ago.
Okay, so it grew into what?
Into what? It doesn't. There's no outside the universe that requires it. That's required for it to expand. That's not how the theory describes the evolution of the universe.
I think I've heard you yourself describe it to somebody as it grew into nothingness.
I would have never said that.
You said it grew into itself, expanded into itself.
Yeah, there's just more space now.
What's outside of that space? If it's expanding, what's it expanding into?
It's not expanding.
It's expanding into something.
No, it's not.
How can see? There's an edge to it. There's a nothingness on the edge of it.
There's no edge.
How can it expand into nothing? Like how can it be?
It's not expanding into nothing.
It's
not expanding into some place. There is no place that it's expanding into. It is everything, and then there's more of that everything.
By saying expansion, you're using the comparison.
Yeah, we're comparing it to its past.
You're saying there was a limit to the size, and now that size is bigger. So it grew outside of itself. The size expanded outside of itself.
No, it's not
the
outside.
It's
the same place. There's not more.
But you're saying the volume.
Yes, there's more space in the same. There's more space in the same place.
So the volume is greater.
Yes, there's more space in the same place.
There's more space in the same place. That doesn't jive with the expansion.
I'm sorry. You're not going to understand it unless you take a differential geometry class.
I have taken a differential geometry class, but it still doesn't make sense to me that.
Hold on. Okay, tell me. Hold on. You have? What's a manifold?
That's what I put in my car. I don't remember all the terms for a manifold. It's a shape. I know it's a shape of. I can't describe the shape to you right now. I know what a manifold is.
It's not a specific shape. No, it's not. It's not like some shape.
It's like a.
Do you know what a metric is?
Yeah.
What's a metric?
It is a measurement.
What is the Euclidean metric? What's the formula for the Euclidean metric?
Oh, dude, I don't remember any formulas. I'm sorry.
When did you take this differential geometry class?
Oh, it was so many years ago. I don't remember any of it. Oh, 20 maybe?
And you don't even remember what a metric is?
I just stated what a metric is.
No, you didn't. A metric is not a measurement.
Oh, okay. Then I'm wrong. You're using the word metric in a way that I'm not used to using.
I'm using it in a differential geometric context.
Okay, I look. I don't remember any of the. It all went in one ear and out the other. I went through it all, and I dumped it all. I don't remember it all.
What major did? So typically, people only take differential geometry as a math graduate student. Maybe they'll take it as an advanced undergraduate math class.
Well, math was my minor.
You wouldn't have taken a differential geometry class then.
Okay, maybe I'm thinking of differential calculus.
Yeah, I think you are.
Okay.
So anyway, this is to say, if you want to understand what it means for the universe to expand while not having an edge and still being potentially infinite, go pick up a book by Sean Carroll entitled Space-Time and Geometry.
Oh, you're saying it's a manifold. It folds into itself. Okay.
That's not what a manifold is.
Isn't it like a torus?
No.
A filled-in torus?
No, it's not like a filled-in torus. Look, so I can assure you that this is a notion that is very, very familiar to all sorts of physicists who do cosmology or relativity. It's kind of counterintuitive, but you need to have the math in order to kind of like see how it works out and to see that it's a well-defined notion. But this is the scientific consensus is that the universe doesn't have an edge, that it is expanding, and that it's potentially infinite. So
that's outside of the scope of this. Just saying that you don't believe a God could be something that creates a universe. I don't understand how you don't think something that created the universe isn't a God.
I don't think that being a God is dependent on your level of technology. If you think that being a God does depend on your level of technology, then you're just not talking about a God.
But I'm not saying it depends on computers. Like, I'm not talking about
technology.
Right, but
are you an electrical engineer by any chance, or a computer engineer, Nate?
Yeah.
Yeah, that checks out.
But you're just talking about the mechanics of the action now. You don't need to get into that. You don't need to get into the mechanics of the action. You don't need to say how it was done, but just that it was done.
Well, either it was done by a supernatural divine being, or it wasn't. If it wasn't, it's not a god.
Okay, define divine, supernatural divine. Define that. Is it someone that creates miracles?
No, not subject to any laws of physics, whether known or unknown.
Okay, so if I create a universe, virtually, I am not subject to its laws.
I didn't say its laws. I said known or unknown.
Right, you don't know that you can't know the laws outside of the universe you're in. You can't know what's outside of the universe. It's unknown.
Yes, that's why I included unknown.
By definition.
That's why I included unknown.
State that again. That's just too broad.
Not subject to any laws of physics, known or unknown.
So you're just gonna. So you're talking up to the can God create a rock that he can't lift theory? I mean.
No, I'm not. That's not a law of physics. It's a logical law.
Okay. So we have laws. We have laws of unknown laws of physics. What if laws of physics don't exist outside of the universe that we're in? What if it's couldn't it be a virtual creation that has?
I don't think so. It wouldn't be. It wouldn't be virtual.
Doesn't have. It just doesn't take.
Let me ask you this:
Nate.
Why do you think that the universe has anything to do with your understanding of simulations?
I'm just using my imagination to figure out a way that.
Is it at all possible that because of your experience with computers, because you were buried in them all day, that you were biased into thinking that the universe works in a way that is familiar to you?
I'm just trying to think of a way that the universe. Yeah. I do think I know. I wouldn't think this if I didn't know about the existence of a virtual world. But now that I do, I can't think that it's not a probability, a high probability.
So
In
150 years ago, people were finishing the laws of physics, classical physics as we know it, right? You know, you have people like Maxwell, and then you have, you know, everything from Newton to Maxwell was all done, and people will be like, yeah, this is it. We know all the laws of physics now, and they behave just like clockwork. And God is this expert clockwork or clockmaker, and he finally carves the gears of our universe, and you know, he has his tools in which he inscribes the gears that blah 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 blah. And you would say they were wrong, right?
Not necessarily.
Oh, you think that God is a clockmaker, not a simulator?
You're using that as a metaphor, obviously.
No, I'm not.
To say that God is a clockmaker, that's a metaphor.
I'm saying it in the same way that they did, that they thought that he was, you know, literally fine-tuning the universe with like metaphysical gears and shit.
They were probably using that as a metaphor.
They were okay. Rather than just try to get to the point, I'll just tell you the point. The point is that 150 years ago, people were enamored with the modern astounding technology that was precision clockwork at the time. The late 1800s was like peak precision clockwork. They had really, really highly precise, tiny little machines that were able to do very, very precise things. And they're like, these are the things that this is the peak of technology. It's the thing that explains everything. It works with the laws of physics. The universe must be like that. And then they were wrong. And I suspect you're just doing the same thing. You're saying, computers, we're going to see a future of computers and simulations, and it's the peak of technology, and the universe must be like that. And you're probably wrong too.
Well, that's not what I'm saying. I'm not actually saying it's computers that are.
No, but you're using the language of computers to try to understand it in the same way that they use the language of clockwork to try to understand it, and they were wrong, and probably so are you.
Actually, I'm just trying to use the language of computers to relate to your a priori model. I think the universe is a fractal. That
nothing to me.
Well, it follows a repeating pattern. So you know,
that's not what a fractal is. A fractal is self-similar at all scales, and our universe isn't self-similar. It doesn't have conformal invariance, or even approximate conformal invariance for that matter.
No. It might. It could if you.
Well, no. I mean, it
enough.
doesn't. It doesn't. Like, this is demonstrably true with like the current laws of physics. There's no self-similarity.
At the perspective of which we're viewing it, and that's
okay. So you just believe this with no evidence?
No. I'm making an assumption based on what we can see.
Well, based on what we can see, there is no self-similarity.
There is. There is self-similarity.
Not in our laws of physics, no.
Oh, well, okay. So
you should look up scale invariance in the standard model.
Right. Okay. See, so I'm thinking of it when I'm looking at, like, from my observation, when I look at like a planet, it looks like a molecule.
How does a planet
behaves
look like a molecule?
Behaves like a molecule. I've talked about this before. It's a particle with, you know, an orbital. That happens.
Orbitals and orbits are not the same thing. They're not even remotely similar. Orbitals and orbits.
An orbital is a thing that's in the orbit.
No, orbitals are not in orbits.
Okay.
An electron orbital is not an electron going in a circle.
It surrounds the particle.
Yeah, it's a cloud.
Yeah, and when you observe the cloud, the probability wave collapses, and you see it in a position around the particle.
Yeah, and that's not at all like planets.
It's similar, but it's not
It's
exactly
not
the
at all
same.
like
It's
planets.
technically
It's
different.
not. It's not at all. Like there's not. They have nothing in common.
A particle with something orbiting it not in the same exact pattern, but it doesn't leave the.
Electrons don't orbit protons. It's not what they do.
You're going to say they have quantum leaps around it, but they're in a cloud.
No, they're not in orbit.
Cloud.
They have the average momentum of the electron is 0.
But they're at different places around the particle. They appear in different places around the particle.
It's equally spread out around the particle.
At all times.
It's not in different places. At all times, yes.
But if you observe it in one of those locations, not at all locations.
Picked at random, yeah.
That just follows the Heisenberg uncertainty principle.
Well,
That's all it is. Yeah, but it's only in all places around it until you observe it, the probability wave collapses, and then it's in a position around the particle. So it's technically not exact. So it's
not at all. It's not at all like a planet orbiting a star. Like they have nothing in common.
Look, it's behaving differently because it's at a smaller scale, but without evidence, I'm just going to assume that goes all the way down.
Why?
Because it looks similar enough.
Because it doesn't. So if you zoom in, you end up with things that are asymptotically free in the form of quarks and are otherwise strongly confined, and that doesn't behave at all like an electron orbiting an atom.
Take a sphere. It's in nature. It's what do you call that? A shape that is efficient, and it appears at all scales. It's efficient at all scales.
I don't know what you mean by efficient, and I don't know what you mean by appears at all scales, because there aren't spheres at every scale. You have disks at the galactic scale. You have like boulders and shit at the the human scale. You have orbitals at the electron scale. Where are the spheres? I guess there are some spheres at like the planet and star scale. Other than that, though, you don't really have any spheres.
Yeah, I mean they appear in quantum scales too. They're spherical bodies. Spherical bodies. Like an atom is a spherical body. An atom.
An atom? No. Some atoms. Yeah. Some atoms are. Some atoms, like hydrogen, are spherical, but uranium is shaped like a pear.
Okay, but so some are. And
some are. And some are. So the notion of a sphere showing up at all scales is just not true.
Okay. It is at all scales. Not everything.
Okay, but then
not everything is a sphere at all scales.
Pairs show up at all scales.
Okay, well that's a good point. It does. So these appearances.
The thing is everything shows up at all scales because everything has different shapes. But it's not. But there's no self-similarity. It's just that you have all of these different possible configurations, and they just show up in different places and at different scales. Like this is a nothing statement.
Yeah. Okay. Perhaps you need to use more imagination when you think of God.
So I have to lie to myself more?
Okay, no. One argument I made to you that you blew out of hand, like blew off immediately, was that you are a part of the universe, and you said I am not part of the universe, but you are a part of the universe. You're part of the physical the physical makeup of the universe, the material of the universe.
To be clear, are we just pivoting away from the fractal thing?
No, I'm still on the fractal thing.
Okay.
I have to go a different direction. But you, one time I said to you, you're a part of the universe. You said, I'm not a part of the universe.
Why did I say that?
But you are.
Do you remember?
Yeah, you said you compared the universe to a room. You're like, I'm in a room. I'm not a part of the room.
Yeah, I'm in the universe.
You're a part of the universe. You're a part of the material of the universe.
Sure, in the same way that I'm a part
The
of the
universe.
material in a room.
No, the universe encompasses everything. Right?
If by the universe you're including, if by the universe you mean the container and then all of the stuff in the container, then sure.
Right. So, you have consciousness. You're a part of the universe. That gives by I don't remember the word is by transmutation, whatever. It gives the universe consciousness, at least what you have.
That's a composition fallacy.
How is that a fallacy? If you are a part of the universe,
just because a part of a thing has a property doesn't mean that the whole thing has a property.
but you can't. So it's impossible for you to imagine that the universe could also have some kind of activity going on in it that gives it the same kind of ability to comprehend itself as you do.
Unless you can provide evidence that it does. Unless you can provide evidence that it does, then I don't know why I should believe it.
It would be impossible to provide that evidence, but
Okay,
I think that would require.
Why would you believe it?
It just requires a leap of faith.
Why would I have that?
Deductive reasoning.
Why would I just have I just have a random belief that I can't justify at all?
You would just have it would just take a little bit of deductive reasoning. You would look at like an ant and be like, okay, that ant is a simple creature, but it has consciousness.
I don't think that ants have consciousness, by the way.
How can an ant not have consciousness? It's self-aware.
I don't know if they're self-aware. As far as I know, there have been no experiments that demonstrate the self-awareness of ants.
I mean, you can look at it and see that it's aware that it's not it's not a part of the rock. It like if a stream of water comes at it, it moves away from the water. It reacts to everything.
I could make a robot that reacts to that stuff too. That doesn't make it self-aware.
Okay, well, I mean, what would be the lowest level of consciousness that you would accept?
I don't know. Probably some like low-level mammal. Maybe like a reptile.
Really, not even
maybe a fish.
Not even a fish has.
Maybe.
Okay, so a fish. Maybe a fish has consciousness.
Maybe. It's not.
But it has
true. But maybe. Not entirely clear.
But it has a lower consciousness than what you have.
Yes.
You would consider it to be a lower level of consciousness.
Yep.
So there are levels of consciousness. So why couldn't there be a higher level of consciousness than you?
There could be, but unless you can demonstrate it, I don't know why I should believe it.
You wouldn't just deduce that?
Why would I deduce that? Just because I see lower levels of consciousness doesn't mean that there are necessarily higher levels of consciousness. That doesn't follow.
Out of infinity, you don't think that there could be a higher level of consciousness?
There could be. There could be.
You don't think it's likely?
It might even be likely that there's more intelligent species out there, but that doesn't mean that doesn't guarantee that they exist, and it doesn't mean that the universe is aware or conscious.
But couldn't these higher level of beings be like infinite in number as well, and like infinitely more consciousness, more conscious?
I don't know what the scale of consciousness is. I don't know if you can be infinitely more conscious than we are. Maybe there's a maximum level of consciousness or something.
Okay, but if there is like an infinite amount of beings that approach an infinite level of consciousness,
no, not necessarily. They can approach a finite level of consciousness.
You can approach infinity. It can approach an infinite level of consciousness.
Why should I believe that?
Deductive reasoning.
What's the deductive reasoning?
Out of infinity, if it can happen, it probably will.
Yeah, the point that you have to prove is, can it happen? Can there be an infinitely conscious being?
It can approach it. I just proved that it will approach infinity through
No, you didn't.
Scale.
You claimed it. You just didn't, but you didn't prove it.
by deductive reasoning, as it scales, it approaches infinity, just like anything.
What if it approaches a finite level? Let's say that we have consciousness level 8. Maybe the maximum consciousness level is 15.
The question now is why would you? The question now is why would you put a cap on it when you have no idea? My point is you can't demonstrate that. You can't demonstrate it either way, and yet you're the one making the claim. So it's your burden to prove it. Yeah, you can't prove it.
So then why should I believe it?
You reason it. You can't prove it, but you can reason it.
If you can reason it, if you can deductively get there if you can get there via deductive reasoning, that's called proof. So do it. What is the syllogism?
Okay, so the probability of it happening, right? If it's greater than what?
Probability of what happening?
If there's of consciousness growing, of getting a higher level, whatever.
I agree that there could be higher level intelligence than us. The question is can there be infinitely more can there be things that are infinitely more intelligent than us, or at least are approaching infinitely more intelligent than us? And that's something we have to prove.
Don't you deduce it that you're
no, you don't just deduce it. You have to. What are the premises? What's the syllogism here?
We're saying the universe is expanding into infiniteness, and
it may or may not be infinite, but I'm willing to grant that it's infinitely large for now. For the sake of argument, I'm willing to grant that it's infinitely large.
And the observable universe is expanding into it, and we're going to deduce that the observable universe will expand into the infinite that the universe is.
Okay,
right?
How does that mean that that the maximum consciousness level is infinite or is unbounded?
Because infinity exists. There's no stopping. There's no capping to it.
In order for something to happen in an infinite universe, you need to prove that it's possible. So you need to prove that consciousness can be infinitely expanded, that it has an infinite upper bound.
By proving that it can't, you have to prove. No, you have to prove that there's something that would cap it.
You're the one making the claim.
I've already deduced that it can scale infinitely. I've already made that reasoning.
You haven't deduced anything. You haven't presented any reasoning. You just made a claim that it can scale infinitely, and you haven't proved anything. You haven't provided any like syllogism to make that the case.
I'm saying that it can scale in an infinite universe.
Demonstrate that. Prove that. That's your claim.
That it can scale. I've proved that it can scale because you've admitted there is a consciousness lower than you.
That says nothing about that. Like at best you're making an inductive case. This is not deductive at all. Well,
consciousness scaled up. You've proved that consciousness.
I agree that consciousness can scale up, but I'm not willing to grant. Well, I'm sure. I'm not willing to grant that it can scale up indefinitely. So you gotta demonstrate this. This is a claim that you have to make.
Okay,
you haven't. Okay. So do you know what a syllogism is?
Sure.
You do. Okay. So then give me the syllogism for the infinite upper bound of consciousness.
Okay. So okay. Now listen.
Premise one.
So. Okay, premise one is that there is a lower consciousness than you.
Okay, I agree with premise one.
Okay, premise two, consciousness scales in the universe. Scales upward. Because there's a lower consciousness than you.
Scales upward from what? Relative to what?
Whatever you consider the lowest form of consciousness to be.
Okay, sure, I'm willing to grant that.
Okay, 3, the universe is infinite.
Okay, I'll grant that.
Okay, so consciousness scales up in an infinite universe.
It scales up from the lowest level.
In an infinite universe.
Yep.
It continues to scale. What's to stop it?
I didn't grant that. That wasn't one of your premises.
That it continues to scale?
Yeah, that wasn't one of your premises.
That's obvious from that it has already scaled. It's in infinite universe. What's to stop it from scaling?
How are you demonstrating that? Maybe there's an upper limit.
But I'm not. What's the upper limit? Are you saying you're the upper limit?
No, what I'm saying is that if you're making a deductive argument, you need to demonstrate the claims. You can't just assume that there isn't an upper limit. You need to demonstrate that.
I said it. I did. I said it scales.
Just because it scales from a lower bound doesn't mean that there isn't an upper bound.
We can't agree on where the upper bound is right now, but grant me this.
It's your claim. You are claiming that there is no upper bound, and you have to demonstrate that.
If something is scaling and its limit is infinity,
who says
you
its
have to
limit
prove
is
that
infinity? Who says
the universe? The universe is infinite.
Just because the universe is infinitely large doesn't mean all properties scale up infinitely. I can give you an example of this. Common example, by the way, would be there is a maximum amount of information density in the universe. Somebody has been repeatedly mentioning in the comments the Bekenstein-Hawking bound is a maximum information density possible in the universe. And so even if the universe is infinitely large, you will never get higher than the Bekenstein-Hawking bound for the information density. There is an upper limit.
Information density is based on our perception.
No, this is a physical upper limit in information density in terms of entropy. Physical upper limit. This is not a perception thing.
Entropy only exists inside the observable universe. You can't say entropy exists outside the observable universe.
I'm gonna steal an Ianism. Nate, I don't think you have the boots for this hike.
Okay. You just have to open your mind a little bit and use imagination.
Okay, so Nate, open minds are great. Just don't let your mind be so open that your brain falls out. Okay.
Who said I had a brain to begin with?
Look, man, you said it, not me. Nate, I'm gonna let you go, but thanks for being here.
All right, talk to you later.
$10 super chat, Canadian, from Garba Gaiman. Ian gets to cook and you're in the trenches explaining basic science concepts to people with poor visuospatial skills. You're the hero we need and deserve. P.S. My cells are pretty sweet spheres. Garba Gaiman, you will always be appreciated here. I know Ian always gets the nut jobs and I have to explain science. It seems like that happens a lot. All right, let's talk to not that I don't like nut jobs. I love people who have strong religious beliefs, but we do what we got to do, okay? Madeline Sapphire, how's it going? Madeline?
Yes, hi.
Hey, Madeline. What religion do you believe in?
Religion? I don't believe in any religion.
Okay, thanks for being here. Macedonia. How's it going? All right. Hey, it's Mikey Aces over here. How's it going? Sorry, that might have been insensitive, but it was funny. You there, Mikey?
Yes, I'm here.
Great. What religion do you believe in?
I was raised Catholic, but I don't actually believe in it, but I'm more spiritual.
Okay, well, I'm interested in talking to people who have firm beliefs in a god. Do you have a firm belief in a god?
Yes.
Okay, what kind of god do you believe in?
What kind of God? I believe he is like the all-knowing and also like in metaphysical.
Okay. Does he have powers?
Yes.
What kind of powers?
Ability to create.
Okay. Any other powers besides that?
Maybe he's also omnipotent, meaning he knows everything.
That's omniscient, not omnipotent. Omnipotent is ability to do anything. All powers.
Yeah, so omnipotent and the other one as well.
Okay. Do you believe that this god is all-loving?
Yes.
Okay, so you're a classical theist then. That's fine. Do you have an explanation as to why earthquakes happen?
So I believe that there is a natural proclivity to things, or natural occurrences that do happen.
Okay.
It doesn't
Did
mean
God make those natural things happen?
So God made the conditions for these natural things to happen, but he doesn't directly navigate these things to happen, if you know what I mean.
Sure. But he set it up, right?
He set it up.
Could he have set it up differently so there weren't earthquakes?
I guess then that would be did he set up nature? Could he have set up nature differently?
Yeah.
It wouldn't, but then it wouldn't have been the exact plane where we're in right now as well.
Yeah, it would have been better because it would have been better because there wouldn't be earthquakes.
Right, we'd be in another dimension where it could exist, right?
So he could have made the world better.
He could have.
Like
He probably could have.
So the world that he created has a lot of suffering in it because of earthquakes, right? People get crushed and it's horrible. And he could have made a world with less suffering because there wouldn't be earthquakes. It'd be the same in every other way, just no earthquakes.
Sure.
So are you trying to tell me that there's a being that loves us with all of his heart? He doesn't want to see us suffering at all. And yet he made a world where he knew there would be suffering that he could have prevented?
It's not that he wants it. It's just that we need it in order to come to even a belief in a God. Like, you need suffering in order to know what's good. Like, you need evil to know what's good, in a way, or you need bad to know what's good. I'm not talking
about all evil. I'm just talking about unnecessary evil, because surely you agree that there is unnecessary suffering in the world.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so why doesn't he prevent the unnecessary stuff and he leave in the necessary stuff?
Because he's not meddling.
He could have just set up the world so that there was no unnecessary stuff.
Hold on. I just put you on my headphones. Sorry, what was that again?
Why didn't he set up the world so that there was no unnecessary suffering?
Because then if there was no suffering, then we.
I didn't say suffering. I said unnecessary suffering.
Oh, unnecessary suffering.
Listening is important.
Yeah. Okay, unnecessary. Unnecessary suffering, I think, is there just to. It is in complete disregard of even knowing that a God exists. So, like, it's like saying that, does pure evil exist? I think it does, right?
I don't understand what you're saying. Look, earthquakes, do you agree that earthquakes are unnecessary suffering?
I mean, can we detect earthquakes before they happen and move? Yes.
Sometimes.
Now, yeah.
Are they an example of unnecessary suffering?
So, unnecessary suffering, meaning, like, because we as a human species may suffer from what the earth does, doesn't mean that it's unnecessary, because the earth may actually.
That's what I'm asking. Are you making the claim that earthquakes are necessary? That you couldn't have, like, that there's some good that is being enacted by the existence of these earthquakes?
Sorry, a phone call just started coming in. Let me just. Sorry. Am I saying that it's necessary? Sorry, can you repeat that?
Are you saying that there is some greater good that comes from the earthquakes being allowed to be possible?
I'm saying the possibility does exist.
Okay.
That it does.
How do you establish which types of suffering are necessary and which types of suffering are unnecessary?
Just from my standpoint, is unnecessary suffering is when unnecessary, meaning, I guess, where it's unexplainable on my point.
Okay.
Like, I know, like, causality, right? Yeah.
Do you believe that there is unnecessary suffering in this world?
Yes.
Okay, if it's unnecessary, then that means there is no greater good that suffering brings about. That's what it means to be unnecessary, right? And that means that God could have prevented that without removing any good that comes from it.
I didn't say that there's no greater good for this unnecessary
That's
suffering.
what it means to be unnecessary.
Well, I'm saying from my point of view, that's what it means, right? But
Okay.
it doesn't
Look, this
doesn't
is a
mean that
word.
from
This is a phrase.
yeah,
Unnecessary
yeah,
suffering means that it is a
yeah.
type of suffering where no greater good comes about.
No greater good in my opinion,
I'm
maybe,
not.
but
No,
it
no.
doesn't mean
I'm
that
not. This
I'm not
isn't an
all-knowing.
opinion question. Do you believe that there
Yeah.
are any evils, any suffering in
Yes.
the world, for which
Yes.
no greater goods exist?
Okay, I'll give you an example.
I just want a yes or no.
Do I believe that? Yes, I believe that.
Okay,
that
so you believe
yeah.
that there are things that have no greater goods attached to them.
No, sorry, the other way around. That there are
Okay,
greater goods.
so you believe that every instance of suffering has a greater good attached to it?
Yes.
Okay. So, what do you believe in dinosaurs?
I believe they once existed. There are bones.
Okay, what is the
There are
greater
skeletons,
good
yeah.
that comes from a dinosaur getting bone cancer?
I've never heard that question before. What is the greater good for a dinosaur to get bone cancer?
Because bone cancer is like the most painful cancer you can get.
Okay.
So
Why
what
don't
is
we
the
just
greater
correlate
good
it to humans?
What? No, it doesn't have anything to do with humans. What is the greater good in a dinosaur suffering in agony for months to years as it slowly dies while its bones become spikes? What is the greater good that comes about from that?
Sorry, just had incoming calls. What is the greater good for dinosaurs to have bone cancer? There again is the question that that God doesn't meddle, right? So nature has conditions that it needs in order for it to be conducive to life, right? So if one of these conditions is like affected in a negative way, then life actually something negative happens to the life.
So, to be clear, are you saying that God could not have made a universe? There is no better universe than the universe we are in which dinosaurs get bone cancer?
I'm saying the universe that we're in has these things for a purpose.
Right, and you believe that that purpose is greater than the suffering that these horrible things like bone cancer cause.
Yes, the purpose is greater.
So then you are committed to believing that it's actually good that dinosaurs got bone cancer. Because if they didn't, the world would be worse.
No, what the greater part is that God is not meddling in nature.
Well, and you think that that's a greater good than dinosaurs not having bone cancer?
Yes.
Okay, so then you are committed to believing it's better for dinosaurs to get bone cancer than for the world to be slightly different and for them to not have bone cancer?
Yes.
Okay, and you believe that it's better for 6 million Jews to have been gassed in the Holocaust because that means that God isn't interfering than it is for that to not have been the case.
Now, I'm saying that he's not interfering, but I'm not saying it's
And you believe that it's better that way. You believe that it's better that God doesn't interfere, even if that means that 6 million Jews are gassed and shot to death in the Holocaust.
So I'm not the arbitrator of what's good and evil, right? Like I understand on my personal viewpoint that that's not a good thing. But for
do you believe that God thinks it's a good thing?
I think he doesn't meddle. So it's all. So for instance, this is all for us to get back to.
If it was good, or if it was a bad thing that didn't have a greater good, then he would meddle, right?
Sorry? No.
If there was no greater good, then he would meddle, right? Because he would want to do whatever leads to the greatest good, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so that means that there was no greater good, except for the Holocaust to happen.
No. So let me put it this way, okay? So So each of us has potential, okay? So like God gives us the potential to be the greatest we could.
If I were you, I would evade this too.
No. So it's like humanity. Humanity has its greatest potential embedded in it already. Whether we achieve that or not is our part of free will. It is our part of us deciding whether we follow that path. But God has already set out that path to give us the greatest good for humanity or a personal self.
Yeah, I don't see how that answers my question. Look, either the Holocaust was the best possible thing that could happen in the world.
Obviously,
Or,
that's a deviation from the greatest good of humanity. So that's not
is
in
it the
part
is
of
it, but
God's...
is it a deviation from the greatest possible good from God's view?
Is it a deviation from the greatest? But yeah, of course.
Okay, so
But
then
he's not
God
meddling in it.
Wait a minute. So then that means that God sees something that does not
Yes.
have a greater good, i.e.
Yes.
the universe is
It
worse
actually goes
than
against his
what
purpose. It goes
against his purpose. And
Yes.
there is no greater good for it, which means that it is an example of unnecessary suffering, right?
You could correlate it that way, but you could also say that it
Well, wait a
is
minute.
correlated because
It does it have a greater good or not?
I mean, it's both A and B at the same time.
It can't be. It's
because it's
mutually
greater
exclusive.
good. It's a greater good because we know what not to do again, right? It's the same thing as like I touch the stove, I won't touch it ever again.
Look,
So
okay,
it's the same thing.
so
You can
let's think about this mathematically. This is very, very clear, right? Let's say that evil things are negative good, and good things are positive good. So like maybe free will is worth like plus 10 good, and then like
okay.
I don't know, maybe murdering someone is minus 9. So overall, it's better for God to allow murder because it preserves free will. Because minus 9 is not as big as plus 10, right?
Yeah. Okay.
And so that's the greater good argument. So is what you're saying that there is something that outweighs the negative whatever, the negative billion points from the Holocaust? Something that makes it better. If there's not, then God should have prevented it.
No, I'm saying that the greater good is there is a greater good.
What's the greater good?
For the Holocaust?
Yeah.
Specifically?
Yep.
Could be that humans are self-destructive and that we will, on our own, self-destruct.
How is that a greater good? That just seems
Because
like a
it
sentence,
shows,
not like a...
yeah, no, it shows that what we are capable of. So it shows that, you know, we got to live another way if we all want to survive.
So what you're saying is that this lesson that it teaches humanity is worth, let's say the Holocaust is worth negative 10 million points or whatever, right? You're saying that the lesson it teaches humanity is worth more than 10 million points. Is that what you're saying?
I'm saying that because we created that, yes. We must learn from our own mistakes.
That wasn't my question. I'm asking, so God has a counter. He sees everything and he sees all of the consequences, all of the actions.
But doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. Yeah.
I mean, clearly he does sometimes. I mean, he meddled at the very beginning when he created it. But the point is that he sees the actions, and those actions have some positive or negative goodness value, and then he sees the consequences, and those consequences have some positive or negative goodness value, whatever. And so God looks at the Holocaust and he says, well, those actions were minus 10 million, but the lesson that they'll learn from seeing this happen is plus 11 million. Is that your view?
So, for instance, in that Holocaust, there has to be a causer to do that, and that causer.
You're evading the question. I'm just asking you what your view of God is.
Yeah,
I'm just asking what your view of God is. I'm not asking who has to answer to God. I'm asking, under your view, does God see the outcome, the consequences of the Holocaust, being like this lesson that humanity learned, as being worth the Holocaust? That lesson is so good that the Holocaust was justified.
I'm not saying that he thinks it's justified or anything like that.
If it's not justified, then that means that he should have prevented it.
I'm just saying he's all-knowing in these things. It doesn't mean that, you know, that he sees it as being justified or not.
All justified means is that the good outcome outweighs the negative from the original event.
Well, we both know that's all that means. There is no actual good outcome of a Holocaust, right?
I agree, which means that it was unnecessary suffering, and that means that God can't be all-loving.
Well, he is all-loving in that sense.
If he was all-loving, he would have prevented the unnecessary suffering that the Holocaust was.
He's all loving in a way that he gives us the potentiality to be our
That's
best,
not all
including
loving.
humanity.
Look,
To me,
all
that's
loving.
loving. It's like
Okay, so
it's
if
like the
he's all
parent
loving,
saying, "Yeah."
hold on. This is
To
very
me,
simple.
that's love. It's like
This is
I
very,
know
very
you could
simple.
do your best, but if you don't achieve it, I still love you.
Okay, let's talk about parents, right? Or let's
Yeah.
talk about teachers. How about?
Yeah.
So let's say that you have the most intelligent teacher on the planet, the most skilled teacher. Their principal, let's say it's like a middle school or something. Their principal has given them unchecked power to do whatever they want with their students. They can like hire private tutors if they want to. They have like unlimited budget. They have unlimited rights. They can do whatever they want to ensure that their students get a good education, right? And this teacher loves their students so much, right? Loves them so much.
Okay.
Now, you've heard about this teacher, this amazing teacher, the best teacher in the world. And they're super, super facilitated. They have all these things. You've heard about this person, and you go to visit their classroom. And you walk into their classroom during, I don't know, biology class or whatever. And at the front of the class, the teacher is, teaching on the whiteboard, writing out something. And in the back of the class, you see like 3 kids beating somebody up. Now the teacher knows this is happening. He's very aware of what's going on in his classroom. And he could do something about it. He could send the kids to detention, but he doesn't do anything about it. Would you say that he actually cares about his students?
Would I say he actually cares about the students?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, he's teaching them the greatest good, and if because the students are fighting in the back and he doesn't interfere, do I think that teacher is?
Yeah, he's letting a kid get beat up. Does he care about that kid?
Right. Well, the fact that the kid's in the class, I would hopefully assume that the teacher does care about the kid.
You would assume as much, but then you see the
Yeah.
kid getting beat up. It doesn't sound very
Right.
caring to me. Grimlock with the $10.
Well, I mean,
Thank you.
Yeah, that would show an uncaring teacher in a sense that
Right.
She didn't do anything to stop that. Sure.
Right. So if you were if you thought that this teacher was teaching this classroom, and then you walked in and you saw a kid getting beat up in the back of the classroom, the teacher looked at the kids beating up the other kid, and then just went back to teaching. Then you'd be like, this teacher either can't do anything to stop the kids, doesn't know that it's happening, or just doesn't care.
Okay, you can come up with those 3 deductions, sure.
And so then we go and we look. Now, hopefully, you've seen the analogy. Then we go and we look at World War II, Poland, Lithuania. We see the native populations rounding up Jewish people and putting them in camps to be gassed to death or shot to death. Now, God is supposedly aware that this is happening. He has the power to stop it. And he apparently loves these people so deeply. And yet, he's letting the kids beat up the other kid in the back of the classroom?
And here comes the I guess the mystery of God, right? And I think it's that if he gives us the proof that he exists, then there goes our free will to choose, even, because it's like we have we negate our own free will, because now there is this higher power that is in control. But because he loves us so much, he's showing us
so you're saying that
not in control. Yeah.
No, so you're saying that because the teacher lets the kids have their own, freedom of expression, that teacher actually does love the kid getting beat up.
Because the kid. Well, sorry, can you? Yeah, I understand where you're going with this. Yeah.
Yeah, because the teacher allows the kids to have freedom of expression, it actually is evidence that the teacher loves the kid even though he's getting beat up.
Because, but if the teacher was the all powerful, then they wouldn't have fought, because now they know that a God exists. You know what I mean? But because they fought, it gives them the freedom to, because there is no knowing for sure that the God exists. But if the teacher in fact said, "I am the God, you should listen to me," then the kid cannot even fight, and there goes the free will.
So it's better that the kid gets beat up, right?
I mean, it is the gift. It is a gift for us to have this.
So in your
ability, and
worldview,
it is our and it
it's
is our
good.
mission.
It's good that the kid gets beat up.
It is our mission to do better. It is always our mission to achieve
in your
actually
view,
what is our greatest potential.
So in your view, it's good that the kid gets beat up because then at least they
not,
have free will.
It's not.
Well, look,
it's not
look.
the,
So there's
it's
so
a
under
God's
your
gift.
under your worldview, there's two options: either the Holocaust happens or Hitler doesn't have free will. And under your view, it's just better for Hitler to have free will than for the Holocaust to not happen.
I mean, if God were to appear in metal, then we would lose all our free will, and we should just be.
You should. So is it better that Hitler? So what's better? What's a greater good for the universe? That Hitler has free will, or that the Holocaust doesn't happen? Which one's better?
What's greater for humanity?
What's greater for the universe, for the entire creation that God made?
That God doesn't meddle.
That wasn't my question. Which one's better?
In this scenario,
there's two hypothetical universes. There's one hypothetical universe which is just our regular universe where Hitler has free will, and then there's the hypothetical universe where, like, by some weird miracle, Hitler got, maybe not even a miracle, Hitler got please, I wasn't done. By some weird miracle, Hitler got like bonked in the head and he likes Jews now.
Okay.
Which universe is better?
So this is the question now.
Yeah, which universe is better?
Yeah. Okay, I understand where you're going with this, and I would have to say the one where Hitler was allowed to do what he did.
Yep, you definitely just said that. Most caring theist, I guess. You have to understand that you are now committed to believing that it's good that the Holocaust happened. That anything that would have prevented that anything that would have prevented the Holocaust would have been worse.
I'm saying we weren't living our truest potential yet. We have the ability.
Yeah, and it's good that happened. Under your worldview,
it's not good. It's good that we have.
Given the option that something could have changed it, you're like, nah, it's actually better that it happened that way.
Because then we're not a free agent. Because we are a free agent, God gave us that. That's
not even true. That's not even true. To be clear, it's not even true that you have to interfere with free will in order for this to happen. But like, you have to understand that your position is absurd at this point. But we can keep going, and I can demonstrate to you that this isn't even a violation of free will. So let me give you an example of let's say that does God have free will?
Yes.
Okay, can God do evil things?
Does he have the ability to? Sure.
Okay, will God ever do evil things?
No.
Okay, so it's possible to have free will and yet to never do evil things, right?
Yes.
Okay, so why couldn't God just give Hitler that kind of free will? He'd still have free will, wouldn't be violating any free will, but he just wouldn't have the ability to do evil things. Or he wouldn't want to do evil things.
We're not saying Hitler didn't have the ability to do that.
No. So God has free will, but he will never do evil things. So it's possible to have the kind of free will where you never do evil things.
Well, God wouldn't. He allows evil to exist.
That's not my question.
Therefore, yeah, okay.
God has a different kind of free will than we do, right? We have the free will that lets us do evil things. God has a different kind because his free will doesn't, like, he doesn't do evil things, right?
Well, he doesn't, but he allows it to exist.
Well, yeah, arguably that's evil, but like, he doesn't do evil things. He doesn't like just smite random people, right? So God could have just given Hitler that kind of free will that he has, so that he would still have free will. He just wouldn't do evil things.
But then he would have to attain the level of consciousness that is ascended past the human experience.
Yeah, and wouldn't that have been better? Because why wouldn't that have been okay? That would have been better.
But that is the purpose of all human beings, is to get to that area.
Right, so why doesn't he just do that? Why doesn't he just give us that kind of free will to begin with?
Because then because he wants us to attain that, not just be given it to us.
So he wants us to suffer rather than give us the all good free will.
He wants us to attain it as to show to his be exactly like God. We are made in the image
Yeah,
of
and
God.
and
So
why
if,
and but is so what you're saying is that he wants us to suffer so that we can attain it, when he could just give it to
no,
us.
suffering is part of getting to the attainment. He doesn't
Right, but
want us
why
to.
does he does he want us to attain it? Why is that better than us just having it?
Because then it shows your own volition. It's like you came from you.
Our volition
personally.
is the free will. If he just gave us the free will, then we would have that.
No, because
that loving free will.
Because he knows if he says if he because then we couldn't we couldn't praise that God because he would have just given it to us. So we couldn't praise something
Sure, you could.
else
We'd still
for
have free
giving it to
will.
us.
We'd still have free will.
No, it would be conflated. It would be.
No, it's still free will.
Not free will.
You just agreed that it's whatever kind of free will God has, give it to us, and then
Yeah, but
we would
God
still have free will.
is the like the top of the pyramid, right?
Yeah, he could just give us the same free
base.
will. He could just give us that.
No, but then, well, we can't attain it, but that would be our mission too.
Why can't he just give us that?
Because we have this free will, right?
He could have given us
It's
a different free will.
It's a human. No, but he gave us this free will.
Yeah,
so
yeah,
that
and
we can attain that.
And this free will leads to unnecessary suffering.
It has the potential. It needs this. It has this unnecessary suffering baked into it.
Right. So he could have prevented the unnecessary suffering without removing free will, but he chose not to.
Because we need to attain that. Like it's not something that's
why do we
bestowed
need to?
upon.
He could have just given it to us.
Well, therein form is like, well, that's where belief comes in, right? It's like I can choose to believe.
That's a cop out.
Well, I'm just saying, like that's where the belief stems from.
So you just believe that he had to give us this kind of crappy free will?
No, it is actually given to us.
Yeah,
it's
the
not
crappy
that I believe
kind.
it. It's actually
the crappy kind of free will.
Yeah. It's not crappy. It's perfect.
No, it's the
Because
worst kind of free will because it's God's free will is the best kind of free will.
Well, that's the one we have to attain.
Well, he could have just given it to us, right?
But then that wouldn't make us human.
Why not?
That would be a different consciousness altogether.
Why?
It would be not a human conscious form.
Why?
Because we have attained God consciousness now.
I didn't say anything about consciousness, just about free will. Just about the desires.
Okay, but I'm just saying it would have been a God consciousness.
Why would it be a God consciousness?
Because our human consciousness has the suffering baked into it.
So we could have made a world where people had no desire to do evil, right?
It's possible. It's possible if we all attain
but he chose to make
yeah.
a world where people do have a desire to do evil.
That is the world we live. That is the world we live in, the human conscious world. Yes.
So it just seems like he wanted a world with evil then.
No, it's for us to attain this so that we know that there is a higher power that exists without actually having proof of his existence.
Why does he want that?
Because that shows reverence. That shows reverence for something.
But so then it just doesn't sound like he cares about us. It sounds like he cares about himself.
He cares about the creation and him being the creator. Yes. He wants us to give.
So does he care about us revering him? Does he care about us revering him more than he cares about our own suffering?
It's all of the same because us reaching our peak potential is actually we become in union with God. So us reaching
he could have just created us in union with God.
But then then we wouldn't have the reverence. We wouldn't care that God.
He could have created us with the reverence.
But then we wouldn't care that even God exists because
he could have created us so we did care.
I was made this way. I was made this way.
He could have created us so we did care.
It's like I didn't have to work. So then they work for it.
He could have created us so we did care. What are you missing?
That's a good food in so I'm not going to buy.
All right, Mikey. I'll let you go.
Sorry. It's okay. Don't worry about it. Anyways,
Mikey, this is a good time for you to step out. You should think about yourself. Think about why you think that it was good that the Holocaust happened.
Well, okay.
You should really, really second guess yourself there. And don't tell your mom, because she would be disappointed. All right, let's talk to Ja Troy.
Hey,
Ja Troy, how's it going?
It's going, and I'm thankful.
Awesome. So, what God do you believe in?
I believe in the Almighty.
All right. Which one?
The one that has might over all things, all-knowing, all-encompassing, all-powerful.
All right. Do you think that Jesus rose from the dead?
Jesus rose from the dead?
Yeah.
No, that's not the kind of God thing I do it. Now, if you're talking about Christian,
I'm just trying to establish which faith you have.
Yeah,
because you're being intentionally vague.
Okay.
Are you Christian? No. Are you Muslim? Are you Hindu? Are you just generic theist?
No. All right, good. Now you're on point. No, I'm not Christian. I'm Rastafarian by choice. I hail Rastafari. He's the example. He's the standard bearer for those who of the Rastafari faith. He is Emperor Haile Selassie, and it's in the form. It's in the same sort of form that Christianity is, whereas you have an example to as a standard bearer to live up to, give your life purpose, give your life guidance, something like that. But at the same time, you recognize yourself as God, him as God, everything around you as God. That's why I'm Ja Troy. The Ja.
Okay. So why should I believe this?
Okay. Are you glad you're alive?
Sure.
You're glad that you have your family, your wife, and the life you have, regardless of all of the problems and the negatives that come with your life. You still give thanks for your life, and you wouldn't give it up for $1 billion, right?
Well, I couldn't do much with $1 billion if I was dead.
Exactly. So now this is what my I would say in 2025. You ready? Okay, come right now, baby. I wrap this up right here. The reason I asked you if you are glad you're alive is because the Almighty, in all those negative things, the Holocaust, black peoples, slavery, the Colosseum, all the things that happened long before us, and all of the terrible things that are happening right now, those things had to happen for this day to be.
No, they didn't.
Those things add up to today. Everything that happened adds up to what's happening. Now, if you don't accept...
But they weren't all necessary. Unless you think that they were. If you're a necessitarian, I mean, based, I guess.
Bro, everything that has happened cannot be separated from what's happening.
Look, so whether or not the Holocaust happened, I would still be alive because my family was in the United States at the time. Right.
You would not right now. You would not be talking about the Holocaust if it didn't happen.
Yeah,
you would
my conversations might be slightly different, but I don't see. I don't. So are you saying that it's good that all of those things happened?
I'm saying that it was necessary for you to be.
Are you saying that are those things good? Is that what you're trying to say?
No. This life isn't just good. The good thing is that you are alive today. The good thing is that I am alive today, regardless of having the negative things that we have to face, endure, and go through. This is the thing about life, where you have to appreciate.
So just to be clear, there are plenty of people who are in bad situations currently, and they would much rather be in a different situation.
Yes, they would, and you're gonna be in a situation. As long as you live, you will someday be in a situation that you'll wish for the love of God that it would stop right now, and that would have to be.
And so why does that happen then? Why does it happen then?
That happens because in this life, which life itself is the Almighty. So
I don't know what that means.
meaning every single thing that was required for there to be a yesterday, as far as space goes and doesn't go and doesn't stop wherever it goes, all of that is a prerequisite for the day. What made yesterday was all of the things known, unknown, all of the energies, all of the forces all the education you have, all the education.
Are you a necessitarian?
What I am is Are
Rastafarians necessitarians?
I am a Rastafari by choice, with a perspective with a perspective of the Almighty that identifies the Almighty as every single thing that is, everything that was, and every single thing that will be.
Ja, question.
Go on.
You believe that there was a choice, yeah, in you becoming in you being a Rastafarian, yeah?
I believe that the situations that I went through led me to that, because it was the cost that I
could you have chosen any other way given the situations?
I don't know that. I don't know. I honestly trust that the Almighty, whose will is the only thing that will happen. The same way I don't know.
So it sounds like you didn't have a choice.
I don't know it. No, I don't. You notice Almighty, to serve the Almighty is to be subject to the will of the Almighty.
Right. So you didn't have a choice.
You don't have it. You don't. You. In my perspective.
So then, why'd you say that you're a Rastafarian by choice?
I said I'm Rastafari by choice based on.
But you didn't have a choice.
Okay. Knowing that there are other choices, knowing that
you don't
there are
have a
other
choice.
choices,
There are no other choices.
All right. Well, if that's your argument, then you don't see that. But at the same time, knowing that
that's your argument, right? You're saying that everything necessarily follows from the things that preceded.
I'm saying that because I know that there are other options, and if I have this one, then I can frame. I could say it to you in the form of I've chosen this because I don't have to.
But there are no choices, really. We agree.
I don't have.
Presumably, that's what you think.
I believe the Almighty is Almighty. And the Almighty's will be done from the rising to the setting of the sun. So hey, you be blessed. I have to go and take my daughter somewhere. I'll probably chat with you another time. But
all right,
remain
brother.
encouraged, bro.
Have a good one. Okay?
The Almighty is life. Love life.
Take care.
All right.
You know, I actually like that energy. That was honestly like it wasn't like nutso. He was just like very enthusiastic. I like the energy that he was bringing. Honestly. It was a good energy. All right, we have a few guests from YouTube. Let's bring on someone named Silent Echo. Silent Echo, can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Howdy.
Howdy. How's it going?
Pretty good.
Great. What religion do you believe in?
First of all, how many religions do you think there are?
Depends on how you count them, but anywhere from at least 3 to like less than 1 million.
I think there's only 2, polytheistic and monotheistic.
Well, that's like just not true though, right? Because Judaism and Christianity are not the same thing. Judaism and Islam, Christianity and Islam, these are not the same thing.
Monotheistic is the belief in one God. Polytheistic is the belief in many gods. Yes, and that's really the only 2 religions there are.
Well, no, but those aren't religions, those are beliefs.
2 religious foundations that have been founded.
Also, those aren't the only foundations. There's also... there's
that's
also
the original foundations of religion. No, then you have religion sects broken off into 2 different parts of main religion.
Henotheism predates monotheism, and you're not
Nothing predates monotheism. That was the original, essentially the original.
Are you high?
With the creation?
Obviously not.
With the creation,
even the original Israelites were not monotheistic; they were henotheistic.
The original Israelites worshipped the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob.
Yeah, and they were henotheistic. They believed that other gods existed. They just weren't their gods.
Yeah, there were certain tribes in Israel that were pagan, yes.
No, they were Do you know the history of religion?
Not really, but I just know that there's 2 main religions.
Because monotheism is quite late in the game. Monotheism is like 2,500 years old or so. Maybe.
Okay.
There's some instances of it popping up a little bit earlier, like in Akhenaten, who I can't remember when he was alive. Akhenaten was alive around 3,300 years ago, and
I don't even know who that is.
He was an Egyptian pharaoh. he tried to introduce some sort of monotheism, but then it kind of just crumbled after he died. So yeah, monotheism wasn't the first. It was actually the last. Animism predates it. Henotheism predates it. Polytheism predates it. Like, there's a lot of different religious, like, foundational beliefs that predate.
I'm talking about religion at its core. There's only one God to worship, or many gods to worship. What else is there?
There's henotheism, where you worship one God, but you believe in many. There's pantheism, where you believe that everything is God. There's animism, where you believe that, you know, there's spirits in all things. Like, there's a lot of different religious bases. Like,
but
that
that
doesn't sound like you know a lot.
One God and believing in multiple gods is still polytheistic.
I mean, it's not. It's called henotheism.
Well, our God, the one true God, the creator of the entire universe, only desires to be he's the only one you can worship. So, and the other one that you're talking
worship
about,
other gods, so it can't just be that.
Right, but how is there other gods when that, whatever that other one you said, henotheism? I don't know what that word is.
Yep, henotheism.
How are they going to believe in one God but also believe in other gods?
No, they worship one God and then they believe in other ones.
How is that possible?
That's what the ancient Israelites did.
But how?
They had their own God that was theirs. It was the God of Israel, and then there were gods of other countries, and they worshipped the God of Israel because that was their God.
You remember
and then
the
they
rebellion
didn't worship
in heaven?
the other gods.
So okay, the other gods that you speak of, they're not gods. Those are the fallen angels when God casted.
Why did God lose to chariots of iron then?
What are you talking about?
Wait, you're not familiar with this?
Chariots of iron, is that in the Bible?
Yeah. One sec, let me find the verse for you.
I'm going to use Grok.
Joshua 17:18. Let me pull it up. And then also Judges 1:19. Wait, no, this is not right. What was I lied to? Might not be. Yeah, no, okay. Yeah, okay. It's not 17:18. It's Joshua 17 though. So in Joshua 17, in particular, verse 16, Joshua, having been told by God that he will go succeed against the people in the hill country when trying to take the lands of Canaan. Are you still here, by the way? Yeah, okay. So this is in principle very, very late. This is after Moses has died. They're doing the conquering of the land of Canaan, right? So Joshua has been told by God that he will go and be successful to take all of the lands of Canaan, including the hill country. And then he goes to try to take the hill country, and all the Canaanites who live in the plain have chariots fitted with iron, and it was too much for them. They could not handle it. They lost. You there? Oh, he left. Bro left. Okay, well, it is actually Joshua 18. It says, the whole assembly of the Israelites gather it, but clear it, and its farthest limits will be yours. Though the Canaanites have chariots fitted with iron, and though they are strong, you can drive them out. And then, in Judges 1:19, this is just for everybody who's listening. In Judges 1:19, it says, and the Lord was with Judah, and he drove out the inhabitants of the mountain, but could not drive out the inhabitants of the valley, because they had chariots of iron. So, turns out, chariots of iron defeat the God of the Hebrews. Alright, let's bring on another guest from TikTok. By the way, if you guys want to support the live, you can support with Super Chats on YouTube, you can support with GIFs on TikTok. There's also a Cash App in the link tree in my bio, Cash App in the description. These are all cool ways to support me if you want to. Of course, you don't have to. But if you care to, I appreciate it. Also, make sure to hit the follow button. Make sure to hit the subscribe button. All cool things. D, how's it going?
Oh, hello. Okay. First, to say something, I'm not your true opposition because I will act like opposition. I will try to just sharpen my debating skills. Is that okay?
Nope. I prefer real opposition. But I appreciate you being honest.
Yeah, because I'm...
I mean, I appreciate honesty, but like, yeah, I'm looking for like genuine disagreement rather than approximate disagreement, or rather than...
Hello?
Hello. Cyber or Tiber Tingles, what god do you believe in?
So I am just a general theist. I believe that there is a god.
Okay.
Who is
What properties do you...
omnipotent.
What properties do you think it has?
He's omnipotent, omniscient, but not necessarily omnibenevolent.
Okay. Why should I believe that this god exists?
So, to first start, do you believe in determinism?
I lean that way, yes.
Okay. So, and just to like clarify this, do you believe that everything is deterministic? Because classical physics obviously supports that, but
yeah,
there
I'm
is some
what you might call a
properties.
quantum determinist. So there is,
Okay.
I take, but yeah, there's some details there, but I don't know if it's necessary for the conversation. So
Okay. So do you believe in stuff like the many worlds theory?
yes.
Okay. All right. So, and my logic could be off, and I would like to correct it if you could. But my main argument is that if everything is deterministic, that means that everything must have a cause. Is that correct?
Not necessarily. It just means that all causes are determinative, are entirely determinative.
So, do you believe that the universe must have a cause in order to exist?
Probably not.
Okay, could you explain why?
Well, yeah, I mean, like, either everything has a cause, or there is at least one thing that doesn't have a cause. Right?
Okay. So my thinking of determinism, and I would, if you could like, I guess, rebuke this. So my thinking of determinism is because everything is caused by another thing, there must be a trace back to
That's
the
not
Big
determinism.
Bang.
Determinism
So-
is just that all causes are fully determinative, meaning that there's no probability space.
Yeah.
There's no probability in what the effect is. If there's a cause, then its effect is determined. But it doesn't mean that all things have a cause. It's not determinism.
Okay. So, okay, I don't necessarily understand how, if something exists, there can't be a cause. Just
yes, you do. Yes, you do. You believe in a god that doesn't have a cause, right?
Well, honestly, I don't know how exactly a god came to be. Whether or not
I don't know how the universe came to be.
Yeah. So I believe that a god did create a universe, but I don't necessarily know how, and or if that god was created by some other thing.
Well, I mean,
or anything like that.
We can just logically follow it. Either the god was created by something, in which case you just push the buck back, or the god didn't have a cause. So either you end up with an infinite chain of gods, in which case I could just say I have an infinite chain of universes, or you have a final god that is uncaused, and I could just say I have a final universe that's uncaused.
Okay, so is it not possible for there to be a chain of gods but not be infinite?
Well, then you would just have one ultimate god, and that god wouldn't have a cause.
Okay. So yeah, I kind of differ. I believe that everything must have a cause, and
including God,
in a way, including God. Yeah. So
then you have to have an infinite chain of gods, presumably.
So here's where I kind of don't know. I don't think it is.
Before we move on, do you believe that propositions have causes?
Are you talking about a proposition as in like a thought, or are you talking about like just like general?
Let me back up. Do you think that propositions are abstract objects that exist outside of minds?
I honestly don't know. So my thinking of a mind is that it is deterministic, which means we don't necessarily have thoughts in the way that like it's kind of hard to explain, but I believe that there's just like chemical reactions happening inside of the
I agree
brain
with you.
that don't necessarily, I guess, produce thoughts. Like we think that we are thinking, but in reality, we are just, I guess, having chemical reactions that make us say
illusionism.
something.
Absolutely agree. But so the only reason I was going to ask is because if you think that everything has a cause, do you believe that the statement "everything has a cause" itself has a cause?
I believe that it does, yes.
Okay, what's the cause of that statement?
I don't necessarily know. I believe that the way that I just said it was some sort of reaction which happened in my brain, which caused me to speak that right now.
Okay.
However, I don't know the exact cause of it.
Do you believe in abstract objects?
I would say that I don't know if there is necessarily abstract objects. There could be, there could also not be.
But you believe in metaphysical objects?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, look, man, it seems like you're basically agnostic. I don't know why do you believe in a god?
So if something has to be deterministic, I believe that at some point, I believe that at a point you can't go infinitely on from causes, right? So
but
if we say that the
universe, you do think that. You think that there's an infinite chain of gods.
So once again, I believe that there could be an infinite chain of gods. I don't believe.
But then
that
you just said that it can't go on
true.
infinitely. So which one is it?
So
you just contradicted yourself.
said, correct me if I'm wrong, but I said that it's entirely possible for both of those. I don't necessarily know which one of those is true.
So you agree that it's possible to have an infinite chain of causation?
I believe that so once again, I'm not entirely sure. I believe that it could be possible in the way that we perceive logic. However, if logic doesn't work the same way inside as outside of the universe, then it could be something completely different and just some concept that we honestly don't know.
So why couldn't our universe just exist forever then and have an infinite chain of causation of universes, causing the next universe, and so on?
I mean, I believe that could be true.
Why add metaphysical entities to your ontology when you could just have physical entities?
So if we have a universe that causes another universe and another universe in this infinite, I'm not saying it has to be infinite, but it could be infinite.
Yep.
We can't necessarily go back and say that if we go back, it's an infinite number of universes. It could at one point have, I guess you could say, like a lower bound where like the origin of all of these.
Yeah, but why couldn't it just go back forever?
So once again, I'm not saying that it has to.
But if that's a live option, then why believe in a god at all? It doesn't seem like God solved any problems for you.
Sorry, wait, could you repeat that?
It doesn't seem like God solves any metaphysical problems for you.
So the way that I think about it is I believe that we don't necessarily know. I believe that in probability, or not necessarily probability, but I believe that there doesn't necessarily have to be a God. I just believe that that is the most reasonable explanation for it. Do you kind of understand?
What does it explain?
So if we have, and I'm not saying that we know necessarily what the cause of this omnipotent, omniscient God is, but if there exists an omnipotent, omniscient God, then more than likely just how our universe is created and how we observe quantum mechanics, classical physics, all of this, that God created it simply because...
I'm asking, what does it explain?
So it explains the deterministic nature of our world.
Why do... But it itself is deterministic. So how does it explain it? How does it explain why it itself is deterministic?
So, and I mean, like I said, if there exists an omnipotent, omniscient God, then it has the ability to create a deterministic universe. Is that correct?
Well, do you believe that the God is determined to do whatever it does?
I believe that there's no way. So, I
Because
believe
it sounded
that
like
we
you're like a
have
pure determinist, right?
in our universe, in how
Oh,
our
so you think that
universe,
God
how
isn't
we work.
you think that God isn't determined?
I'm saying that we don't know. It could be, it could not. There's simply no way to know.
Okay.
So yeah.
So the only problem that it solves for you is that our universe is deterministic. Is that the contention?
Yeah, so I believe that because our universe is deterministic and because like everything can be explained in a way that is deterministic, I believe that it is improbable that a God did not create a deterministic universe. I believe
How do you figure?
So I believe that there must exist some sort of all-powerful, all-knowing God to be able to create, I guess, what you could say is laws in the logic of how our universe works.
Why do you why can it not just, because like presumably then this God would have wanted to create those things, right? Either it was determined to create those things, in which case you have the same explanatory problem, namely why is it determined, or it wants to create those things, in which case now you have to explain why it wants to create those things.
Yeah. So, and once again, all we can know is what happens inside of the universe, correct? We don't necessarily know.
My point is that introducing a God doesn't provide any explanatory power. It just pushes the buck back.
So could you give me, so you're obviously an atheist. Could you give me because you believe that the universe is deterministic and that quantum mechanics, although in our universe observe non-deterministic properties, you believe that there's necessarily like, I guess, parallel universes, which when the wave function collapses, it just essentially, do you kind of understand what I'm saying?
Yes, I know what you're saying.
Like you believe that it is deterministic.
I'm a many worlds
right?
guy, yes.
Okay, so could you provide like, I guess, a counter argument as to how like the universe came to be? Or you just
I lean
believe
towards
that,
it
like,
having always existed.
Okay.
So there's no explanatory requirement for how it started, because if it always existed, then it always existed.
Yeah, that makes sense. So I don't necessarily believe that, simply because, and once again, I'm not like, I don't know a lot about physics, but do you believe that there is space outside of space? Like,
no.
Okay.
I don't even know what that means.
So, like, thinking about like,
there is nothing outside the
time.
universe. How about that?
Okay. So, could you probably know about this more than I do. Could you explain then how, I guess, parallel universes work? Like,
they're here. They're in the same place. They're not like parallel universes. They're here in the same, occupying the same space as us. They're just almost like ghost worlds. As in, they're doing their own thing, we're doing our own thing, and we're occupying the exact same space. We just can't interact with each other.
Okay. So you believe that, I wouldn't necessarily say like overlapping, but there is no like space between parallel universes. They're operating on the exact same time, the exact same like place as us. Okay. So do you believe that it is possible for a God to have created the deterministic universe? Or do you believe that...
Do I think that that's like metaphysically... Well, I don't know what a God... Like, I don't think that the notion of a God is like coherent.
Yeah.
Because when I think of existent things, I think of things that exist in space at a time. So, but like I could just grant that like perhaps it's like logically possible for, if you use a different definition of existence, then maybe. But I don't think it's plausible.
Okay.
And not only that, I don't think it provides any explanatory power or any explanatory benefit, which, the only reason you would accept a theory that you don't have evidence for one way or the other is if it provides more explanatory power, right? But if it doesn't provide more explanatory power and it's not simpler, so you wouldn't want to accept it on Occam's razor reasons, there's just no reason to believe it.
Yeah, I mean, I guess you could say that. Do you not think that that same line of reasoning could be used against your belief that the universe has always existed?
My ontology is smaller than yours.
Could you explain how?
Yeah, so I only have physical things in my ontology. You have physical things and then at least one metaphysical thing.
Okay.
So like Occam's razor favors mine.
Yeah, that's true. All right. Well, I don't necessarily have rebuttal to that. I guess, yeah, it is entirely possible that the universe has always existed, will always exist, so there's nothing necessarily outside of it. So, I mean, I guess, would you say that we can't definitively know, or would you say that it's like it is more than likely probable that the universe has always existed?
Oh, I think that we can know. I don't think that we have certainty yet. I think that, this is frontier science. I think it's an empirical question. I think it's a question that can be answered. We just haven't yet. There are inklings. Like the reason why I lean that way is because there are definitely inklings that it's at least like a live option. But, I guess we'll have to see in the future.
Okay. All right. And you do think it's possible, though, that we will be able to provide a definitive answer as to whether this universe was created or it always has existed and nothing else?
Well, just because it has, so it might have a finite past, but that doesn't necessarily mean it was created, by the way. But that's a conversation for another time.
Okay.
I'm going to let you go, but thanks for being here. I appreciate the conversation.
Yeah, thank you. Have a good one.
Take care.
You too.
All right. There was somebody I wanted to bring up in the YouTube queue because he said Holocaust doesn't happen 100%, but I guess he left because he was afraid that he would get cooked. So y'all, it is 11 o'clock and I have to, I have a meeting tomorrow morning. So I'm going to end the live here. Then I will say goodbye to everybody and have a great night, a great evening. Remember, if you want to support, make sure to follow, make sure to subscribe, make sure to like the live, and I'll see you guys tomorrow around the same time. Take care, everybody.